right, we are live. Welcome to the Soscast, the sexiest financial podcast in the world. This is where finance meets romance. Ooh, and we got some romantic stuff coming your way today. My name is Adam Sosnick. You can call me Sos, right?
Yes.
And we are here for one reason, to help you men out there and women get paid, laid, and do it your way. Now, there's some shows that gravitate a little bit more towards finance. There's some shows that gravitate a little towards romance. It's a balance. Everything in life is balance. But with today's guests, I feel like it's going to be pretty sexy out there. All right? So what am I saying? Hide your wives, hide your kids, hide your nephews, hide them all. If you're with your wife and your girlfriend, one's got to go because today's show's might be all-encompassing. But we're going to get into it today. And what we do here on Thursday's show in the Soscast is we have the best of the best, no better than the rest, the best in the West, okay? The freakiness on your chest. What else we got here?
Double D's.
I hope you don't get obsessed. And here's the deal. We're bringing the best of the best to have an open discussion on life, money, who's paying, he who pays says, so they say, and how to get freakier in the bedroom, how to take... they say, can you turn a hoe into a housewife? Can you turn a housewife into a hoe? These are questions that need to be answered. So we're talking money, making money, game, confidence, dealing with women, appealing with women, approaching women, rejection, modern day rejection, pornography, how much you spending, how much are you watching, other addictions, body counts, feminism, and maybe you will have a little money advice here intertwined. With that being said, let's meet our amazing panel today. We usually start with the ladies, but today we've got a gentleman that has graced many silver screens out there. I don't know what kind of movies you guys are watching. I know what you're watching, Joe. But we got Stirling Cooper in the house, current male self-help guru, former ex-male porn star, and just overall amazing dude. Can we get a close-up on Stirling, by the way? Running for president 2024, apparently.
Vote for Stirling. You know it's the right decision.
Stirling, how great does that feel right behind you?
I love this shot so much.
God bless America.
God bless America.
But you're Aussie, no?
I'm Australian, yes.
You're Australian, okay.
Yes. But now apparently I'm going to run for president.
That looks great. We also have my friend Aly Drummond in the house. Hey. I would say as based and as red pill and as amazing a housewife you will find. You are 5 months pregnant now? What is it?
Oh, 6.
6 months pregnant?
Yeah, we're cooking, we're making it. Baby's growing exponentially, very uncomfortable.
Give a shout out to the father right now.
Oh, yeah. Hey, honey, how are you? I miss you.
She misses you. Okay. And then newcomer on the show, Miss Keiona Veney. Keiona or Keiona?
Keiona Veney.
Keiona. Look at that. Gorgeous. Are you kidding me? Entrepreneur, model, influencer. Of those three, what are you? Put them in order of reality. Entrepreneur, influencer, model.
Entrepreneur, model, and influencer.
All about that money, girl.
All about it.
I like that. Entrepreneur.
Business person first.
Love that. So here's what we're going to do today. Before we get started on the range of topics, introduce yourself, 20 seconds or less. Tell us your relationship status and how you make your money. Go ahead, Miss Drummond.
Well, your girl took the easy way out. So I am married. I am a housewife. I make my money by loving my husband, but I make supplemental income on YouTube. But really, you just have so much free time with all these machines. Why wouldn't you stream? Why wouldn't you have a YouTube channel? So yeah, sorry, I'm a dependent woman.
Wow, not independent, a dependent woman.
Yes.
And notice what she said, gentlemen. She makes her money by supporting her husband.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you want to, make your income being the best cheerleader in the world? But, yeah, there is a lot of love in the marriage as well. People neglect that part. It's just I'm not one to turn down, some kindness. If he wants to support me staying home, why would I say no?
All right. We're going to get into that today. Keiona?
Yes.
How you feeling? What's your relationship status and how you making your money?
I'm single, and I am making propositions for my brand.
Ooh.
Just to make it better for myself. I'm really not looking for anyone else. But if it comes within the flow, I'm open.
So we need to address two things you said, propositions and flow.
Right.
So what kind of propositions and what kind of flow?
If it's a business proposition that aligns with what I want to do in my life, it might graduate. It might help me.
Ooh.
But I'm not looking for anything. So.
Business proposition.
A business proposition.
Reminder to follow up on that topic, Adam. Interesting.
Okay.
Stirling Cooper in the house, running for president, whether it's America or Australia. Relationship status, how you making your money, brother?
Running for global president.
God bless America.
Relationship status, it's complicated. How I make my money these days, I teach men how to improve their performance in the bedroom.
Nice. Okay, it's complicated. Is there an option on Facebook to say it's complicated?
I think there is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if there's anybody that would qualify for an it's complicated label on Facebook, it'd be Stirling Cooper.
Thank you.
Before we start the show, let's give a beautiful shout out to the princess of Valuetainment.
Hello.
Looking right over there, glowing, those teeth.
Hello,
So
hello.
beautiful.
Natalia Del Valle, how you feeling? Relationship status, how you making your money?
Yes.
What you want people to know? You're selling your bathwater for umpteens
my
dollar a month. What you got, baby?
Get hold back.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Soscast. Happy Thursday. Before we get started, make sure you guys like today's videos, comment, subscribe, and share. I'm super excited. Today's podcast should be really entertaining and very interesting. So make sure you guys do all that. And I see you guys in the chat. I'll be reading your super chats. So make sure you guys give us some good super chats. And Beaten Cheeks, I see you in there, all right?
We've got two sponsors this week. First sponsor, we got to give a shout out to Hooked on Phonics. Work for me. It's working for Nat. When I found her, she could barely read. Now she's doing super chats. She's writing novels.
Yes.
She's glowing over there.
Can't
By
you
the way,
tell? I
Nat,
can
if you would
you.
quick, let's not keep the camera on this gentleman too long. We don't want to get canceled. But slide this gentleman in here.
Hello.
This
Come
is
inside.
SBJ, special guest in the show, in the house today. My high school friend. He was the what's it called when you win the homecoming king? He was the hottest dude in high school. Guys, good things take time. That's the hottest dude in high school. Look at him now. Joe, how you feeling?
I feel great. Nice to be here. I have a lot of dirt on Adam, so I'm happy to share that at any time.
Thank you. All right, let's get him canceled. He's off. Anyway, thank you for being here. Looking good. Joe, we'll get into your stories later. Anyway, second sponsor, would love to give a crazy shout out to Goldco. This we give them a shout out from time to time. Here's the deal. You know, my slogan, my saying, my phrase that I always tell people is save that money. I'm all about saving that money, being smart with your money, save to invest. And when you can do that, your future will look bright. Speaking of bright, Goldco is all about bright, shiny objects, commodities known as silver and gold. You see how that's worked. So if you want to save that money, here's a little strategy for you. The reason that you have a strategy is to combat certain things that are happening in the economy, whether that's inflation, whether that's money printing, whether that's new money creation. We all know that 40% of all the money that's ever been created in the history of America was printed since COVID. So things are kind of bleak out there. But a lot of people are turning to gold and silver through Goldco to help inflate their savings and retirements. And the key element to that is what we call diversification. Why would you want one girl when you can have two girls? Why would you want a housewife? Why would you want a model when you can have both? That's diversification. Why would you want a white girl, a black girl separately when you can have a brown girl in the middle? That's how things work here, gentlemen. This is diversification.
Hey, like
I know
ice
you've
cream.
done. I know you do not discriminate. Okay, Stirling, I've seen you do scenes with black, white, left, right, up, down. Diversify your portfolio, diversify the women in your life, diversify the content that you're doing. So anyway, Goldco, I'm all about them because you can diversify your financial portfolio and sprinkle in a little bit of silver and gold into your portfolio. So we did a whole sex reference right there, analogy, metaphors, but this is where romance and finance intersect. So that's what we're talking about right here. And if you sign up today with Goldco, you will be eligible to win $10,000 in free silver. Make it rain, baby. Free silver, $10,000 if you call Goldco. That's 855-966-0109. Goldco, 855-966-0109. That's gold, that's silver, that's diversification. We all know how to do math here. Black, white, brown girls, we love them all. Diversify. Anyway, with that being said, let's get this show started. And Stirling, I want to start with you, brother, because one of the things, whenever I'm asking women some of the traits, the attributes that they're looking for in a women, sorry. The attributes that women are looking for in a man, they talk about being masculine, they talk about having ambition, being good looking, having status, having wealth, but the underlying most overarching terminology that I hear is confidence. Whether that's in business, whether that's in the bedroom, whether that's in the boardroom, women like a confident man. Nobody likes a wallflower that's just afraid to talk and voice themselves. Women are all about confident men. And what I always say is that competence, getting good at something, will lead to competence. And that comes with experience. So I know that you've had a lot of experience in the bedroom, also out there in the business world. So, you know, the knock on men these days is they're kind of feminine or beta. And there's not the traditional alpha masculine men out there. And I would put you in that camp as a real dude, as a top G, as some may say. So how do you boost your confidence, and what recommendations, advice do you have for men out there to level up their confidence?
Well, just personally, for me, like my self-esteem always increases when I'm doing the right things, when I'm doing the things that I know I should be doing daily. Like, okay, so have I hit the gym today? Have I eaten like a pig, or have I eaten like stuck to, you know, a healthy diet, right? Have I made a good business investment today, or have I worked on my business, done something effective in my business today? These little micro actions every day, for me at least, they compound over the course of weeks and months and years into building up my self-esteem and building up my confidence in all areas of my life, right? And so, and confidence bleeds over too. So if you're a guy who's really competent, say, with finances, that tends to allow you to walk around a bit more cocky, you know, in when you're in the bar, you got a bit more swagger to you. Or if you're a guy who knows what he's doing in the bedroom, you'll definitely walk around the bar with a lot more swagger to you, right? So confidence isn't just isolated to one particular field. If you're competent in one thing, that can bleed over into at least having the self-belief to pursue other things and get better at those as well.
Yeah, you talked about walking in the bar. So one of the things I always say about money, and there's a reason that this show that talks about intersexual dynamics, dating men, women, is on Valuetainment Money, is because money is a major factor within your life, obviously. Men don't just make money and then do nothing with the money. Money doesn't live in a vacuum. Money enhances your life, which enhances your lifestyle, which allows you to go buy things, do things, meet different people. Money's a tool to use to your advantage. It doesn't just live independently by itself.
You just can't save it.
Exactly, if you could save it. One of the things I always tell people, and it's funny you talked about walking into a bar, is, you know, 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. What I always say, when I talk about save that money, you need to have a rainy day fund, an emergency fund, a cushion. My life changed forever when I went from broke as a joke when I was 25, 26 to actually starting to make money and being more conscious about money. And for the first time ever, and luckily to say it's never decreased from here, I had $10,000 in my bank account. If you've never had $10,000 in your savings account, your checking account, I highly recommend you get there. The stats are 50% of Americans don't have $500 for an emergency. 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, yada, yada, yada. But when you walk into a bar, to your point, when you walk into a bar and you know that you've got 10 grand in the bank, no problem.
And that's the cut.
Whatever
don't get lower than
drink
that,
you
baby.
want to buy, whatever girl you want to meet, whoever you want to talk to, you're good. There's never like, we've all walked into a situation where you meet a girl at the bar, but she's with two friends, let's say, and it's you, and it's like you want to talk to the girl, but you don't want to buy drinks for two of her friends. That's awkward. Now it's weird. Now you don't want to be cheap and like. But if you have 10 grand in the bank account, as an example,
drink.
confidence will enable you to just kind of make the best decisions in that account. So I totally understand the confidence. Now let's go back to young men. That was my advice to young men. The more money you have, the more that you'll be able to do with your life. What advice do you have for men out there to develop that confidence? Because I see what you're saying you're doing. Small things you do every single day. It's a compound effect. What are you seeing out there? Because you do a lot of coaching, men getting better in bedroom. What are you seeing out there, and what tips do you have for men to specifically develop their confidence?
don't expect it to happen overnight. Like, realize that you're on a long enough time, especially if you're a young guy, realize you're on a long enough time frame where, like, those small compounding things are going to make sense. You're going to eventually, if you're doing these daily things consistently for years on end, it's inevitable that you're going to be successful. I think a lot of guys, especially young guys these days, and older guys, to be honest, beat themselves up because, I'm not a millionaire by 22. They see some like crypto guy or some dude, whatever, flashing cash on like Twitter or Instagram, and he's like 21, 22 years old, and they think, I've failed because I'm not that guy. That is not the reality of building success and wealth for 99.9% of people on the planet.
Those are the exceptions, not the rule.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So
okay, Aly Drummond in the house. I know that your dude, in order to get you, there's an age difference of 20 years?
23, yes.
23 years.
Yeah, but he
that
looked
dude
good,
must
though.
have had some major confidence.
He looked good, though. He fertile.
Well, clearly, you're pregnant right now. Give me your take on a men's confidence and what women, can women help men with their confidence? I know that there's women out there that actually hurt men's confidence. Give me your take on being a woman, being a traditional woman, and dealing with a man and enabling his confidence.
Well, I would say I have traditional values. Definitely a modern woman. I was born in 95, so, what can you do? But in terms of men building confidence, I see a lot of men that are downtrodden in their early 20s. They feel like losers, and it's like, no, you're supposed to feel like a loser. I felt like a loser in my early 20s. I was scrubbing toilets as a private in the United States Army. My husband, he used to be a janitor. Right now he does military medicine, but he used to be a janitor, and he worked at an ice factory. So your 20s are supposed to suck. It's supposed to be a humbling experience, but you can definitely put them to good use and set up a foundation for yourself. I think my husband got a little bit lost in the women for a time, so he ended up picking back up his professionalism at 35. Which you have time as a man. We don't have the same amount of time as women, but to give a man confidence, I don't think that's something that a woman can do. But what you can do is inspire a man, and I think that that's something that's lost on a lot of women. Because when I think about money, and when I think about my husband's money, our money, this pool of money, he worked so hard in his 20s, in his 30s, in his 40s, and he's willing to share these things with me. So that's just humbling for me. So he literally like inputs the money, and we have a new reality. He's the architecture of my life, right? We have a house, we have a puppy dog, we're in the Midwest. That's where we want to live. That's a lifestyle. I'm having a baby. We're having a baby. So literally, if you think about it, like my husband goes and makes the money turns into food. I eat the food, and it makes the baby. So it's a good frame to be in if you think about it. I think a lot of women just take that for granted if they find themselves in that position. And I do want to be clear. My husband is not a millionaire. So you guys out there, you can definitely achieve it. We live a pretty conservative lifestyle in the Midwest. That's definitely sustainable. I have like a weekly allowance of $100 because that's all I need in the Midwest. So you can definitely pursue something like that, but women take it for granted because they don't know how much a company is making off of their man. That I asked my husband on purpose. I said, okay, per the clinic, how much do they make off of you? And he told me the number, and I said, how much do you make an hour? He told me that number, and I was like, damn, that sounds painful. So that really put it into perspective for me and allowed me to be more grateful and also appreciating the blood, sweat, and tears. It's not the money that he's making now. Like, this man has spent decades to get to where he is. So it's like, oh, you're gonna share that with me? Like, thanks, man.
Let me ask Keiona. So let me get your take. So,
Yes.
woman who loves her husband and is proudly number 2 in her household. You're a beautiful girl. You're an entrepreneur. You're a model. When you hear a woman talk like this, does it aspire you to get a man? Does it make you realize, listen, that's great for you, beautiful girl. I kind of got my own thing going on here. When you're hearing a woman talk like this, how are you processing
I'm kind
that?
of start off by saying my mom is still married to my dad for 35 years. So I understand what it takes to be that woman. But for me to be that woman, I can't be in society now, modern. And modern nowadays, I can't be that woman that my mother was modern. I see my mom do cook, clean, bath water running, everything for my father.
Okay.
And she's still with him. So for me now, it's like something greater than that. So it's not saying that I won't get married, but if I do get married, it's going to be what I want and not what the man want.
Really? Okay, so two things. Your parents are still married.
Still married.
35 years later, respect.
Yeah.
Give your mom a shout out real quick, and daddy.
Hello.
You also talked
Queen
about.
is still here.
We out here. You said something that I have to address. You said, when I get married, it's gonna not be something the man wants. It's gonna be what I want. Please explain what that means, because I already know in the comment section they're gonna be like, "This chick don't get it, bro.
I get
What is
it.
she talking about right now?" So what do you want, and why won't you do what your man wants?
It's kind of deep to say that, but for me, I'm not gonna sacrifice life now because there's so much going on in life. It's not like back in the day where we didn't really have much, where you have to have kids and be married. It's so much that I can do within my life to where what I do, it should make sense equally together. So my mom was in a generation where all she knew was him at that point. And for me, I just feel like I can bring more to the table than being her. A person that cooks and clean, run bath water. We understand we can be that. I could do that all day. All day I could do that for you. But if you want to see something different, we could be moderate in that. I could do it.
Okay, so
it's not that I'm like degrading a woman for doing that.
Yeah.
So the simple fact is greater than that plus that. That's like double.
So explain what you would like to bring to the relationship. If you're saying, hey, listen, basic,
what I want and not what I'm bringing.
Stuff is cooking, cleaning, doing the bath, taking care of the kids. I got that.
I just
Mommy's
want
been doing
peace.
that for 35 years.
I want a peace.
What do you want to bring to the relationship?
Peace. I want peace.
What does that mean?
Peace is just being confident about what you want in life, because a lot of people don't know what they want in life. They could be married and still struggling with themselves.
Okay.
If you want to, this is what we do, this is what we're working on, this is what we're doing, is people don't know their self.
Okay.
I don't know how I can break that down, but peace is something that I really dig for.
Okay.
So what is your lifestyle of peace? Like, if you were to explain, like, okay, I found this guy, I really like him, and he provides me peace. What is that lifestyle? What's your role and what's his role?
Okay, so we bring it back to confident.
Yeah.
And confident can be somebody waking in the morning just ego. Confidence to me is just knowing what you want, and what I do don't affect you. You still gonna be the man when you wake up tomorrow. I don't know. It's just
okay.
I don't know.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions, then I want to open it up for everybody. You picturing a dude out there that you'll settle down with. Go ahead. Go there right now. Go with me. By the way, everyone in the audience, picture who you're going to be with the rest of your life. Go, think about.
Visualize.
Think about where you're at. By the way, baby girl, I'm right here with you right now. So think about where you're at. Now that he's in your head, obviously, I hope you're thinking about your husband. I know that your situation's complicated, Stirling. Nat, there's a lot of dudes sliding in the DM. I get it. Jojo, obviously, you're happily married. Keiona, this dude, how tall is he?
I don't know. I don't even look at the person. I don't look at the
Give me
outside anymore.
Give me a basic number.
It gotta be probably
Let's just answer these things rapid fire.
6'1".
He's 6'1". Gotcha. Shape, ripped, big, dad bod,
Big
skinny, huh?
Big. And not big, but big enough.
Like a football player big, like Stirling big. Stirling 6'1". Big or smaller? Okay,
big.
Muscular.
Just can go to the gym like me, not lazy.
Hell yeah. Okay, so this gentleman, black, white, Latino, doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
Asian, persuasion.
It don't matter.
The whole thing. Got it. And how much money would you like him to make a year?
Over 60 million. We gonna go to 5 million.
Wait, you say 60 million?
Yeah, we gonna go to 5 million.
I'm about to have a heart attack right now.
5 to 60. 5 to 60.
5 million.
5.
Minimum.
Cut. 5.
Wait,
60.
million with an M.
Million.
Okay, got it.
Because
Stirling,
we
you
can make 1 million.
can't make 1 million. Lose my number, obviously. But you said 5 million.
500K? What 5? What?
Baby, you answer the question.
I'm just saying we can do it this way to make it common. 500K to 5 million.
Gotcha. So minimum
Let's
half
make
a
it
million.
easy. Yeah.
Now, what percentage of men do you think make 500,000 a year?
enough.
Give me a
That's-
number. What percentage of men make
2%.
$500,000 a year. Close. It's 1%.
Right. But
What
I just want
percentage
to
of
put
men-
an extra 2.
Okay. So, got it. And when you meet this man of your dreams who's 6'1", black, white, yellow, Puerto Rican, or Haitian, doesn't matter, from the Zulu Nation, shout out to Tribe Called Quest. Oh my God. How much are you going to contribute to the overall family income? So, for instance, you contribute maybe 10%, right? Aly, 20, I don't know, whatever you're making.
Oh, yeah, that's probably close.
Sure, but you're a housewife proud.
Yeah.
How much would you like to contribute?
I think I wouldn't even contribute until I got it there yet.
You wouldn't say?
I wouldn't contribute
Okay.
until I'm there yet.
So
I wouldn't
it's-
want a man until I'm there
It's
yet.
all on the man.
No,
Okay.
it's not on the man. It's on me. I will not contribute until I'm there.
So you are going to, you're saying
I'm
you're paying
getting
your own
there.
bills?
Yeah, I'm going to be at that level to where if I do be there, you can't
Okay.
talk about it. You have to be there when I'm there, because
Got
if
it.
not, I'm dragging you like a dog.
Last couple questions for you. Have you ever been married and do you have any kids?
No.
Okay, got it. So here's the complicated question. You ready?
Right.
Buckle up, everybody. This man who on a bad day is making $500,000 a year. On a
That's
good
fine.
day, he's making somewhere between $5 and $60 million. Respect. He's 6'1". He's, a multitude of different colors. Let's just say he looks like
Right.
Stirling, good-looking guy. Why, don't be offended, why would he pick you?
He don't have to.
No, but he's going to. Tell us why he would.
I wouldn't know why he would. I guess it's the attraction, my drive, my determination. I guess that, because I feel like I can become that image, but maybe I'm not that yet.
All right, so here's the follow-up. You're saying your drive, your ambition, your attraction. If he's making that much
determination.
money, why does he want your drive? Wouldn't he just want you to be a pretty housewife? Now you're back to playing the same role your mother's playing, if he's making that much money. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, baby, I'm going to be it now if you give me a castle
All of a sudden,
with a wedding dress now, baby. Listen.
all of a sudden, baby knows
Now
how to
listen.
change some diapers and do some bath
No,
water
I don't
now.
need the diaper change,
Okay.
but if you can get, listen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Let's open it up for Aly and Sterling. Now, you guys are friends? You guys know each other?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Aly, when you hear her say these things, what comes to mind?
A lot of people like to think hypergamy is trading up and up and up for a man, but I think sometimes hypergamy is choosing to be alone. Like, I wouldn't say that Keiona, correct?
Yes.
You're welcome. I wouldn't say that Keiona is particularly interested in a relationship. I mean,
yeah, that's the thing.
I think
I've been in one my whole life with my father and my mom, so it's like, I've
What
been
is-
in one
But that's not a relationship
It's a
because you have
relationship.
parents.
relationship.
What's your longest relationship aside from your parents?
I've been in 2, and both there were 8 years.
Oh, okay.
So
And
I know
how
how
old
to
are you?
be
Give or take
long.
30? Give or take? Do you mind?
How old am I?
Yeah.
Oh, you should never ask a woman her age now.
I know, but I'm kind of
not
hosting a
gonna-
show. All right.
Google,
You're
you
young.
gotta Google
You're
that
young.
now if I put
Okay,
it out
gotcha.
there.
Got it. See, sometimes I break the rules
Sorry,
around
excuse
here.
me.
All right. Natalia's still somehow 21 when we hired her 4
Hello,
years ago.
I'm still
She was
24.
21. So continue. She basically agreed with you. She's saying she's not ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
well, I wouldn't say like not ready. I just don't think she wants one. I think you'd rather just do your own thing.
Until I create who I am, because I don't want to feel like I'm begging someone to take care of me, or like I don't want to feel like a user, or I just want to
Okay.
be at
Yeah,
my
that's just-
standard
that's-
as a woman.
that's
You
interesting.
think
And
that
then
if you were
you come.
So you feel like you need to reach a certain level
Yes,
of success
before I get the high value man, I should say.
Oh, well, I
my
wouldn't say,
level.
For your own
My
self-confidence.
own self of what
Yeah.
I want, because this is
Got
what I'm
it.
asking for. 5 million. And
Yeah.
I gotta be there.
So
I
can I-
have to be there.
Can I ask
Got
you a
it.
question, Adam?
Smart.
Sure, go ahead, Sterling.
So okay, let's say you want to reach a certain level of success to before you would feel comfortable and confident
Even
in
dating.
in even settling down, right?
Yes.
Like how would you feel if you settled down before you'd reach that level of success? What would be sort of holding you back from that? What's holding you back from?
It's not holding me back.
jumping
It's
in
about
now?
the building. Now, we can sit there and make a plan and create the plan, and we're working towards the plan, but would you stay on that plan?
Like you and your partner, you
Me
and
and
your
a partner
man,
now.
right?
We
You're gonna work towards
not
something.
there. We're building and creating.
So
But
is it
up to you to stay on that path? Because that's what I do. I want to be there.
well,
So
it
you-
sounds
so
like
you're
you
kind
want
of-
to be financial equals. You don't want to make less than him. Do you want him to make more than you?
I would love that, but who wants to take care of someone? for the rest of their life.
Oh, lots of
successful men are
lots of men are comfortable
definitely
with that.
signing up for that.
Oh, definitely. Like
I
I'm
love
allowed
that, but
to.
I don't want to feel like.
But the difference
baby.
is,
Yeah, it's just a
Someone's taking
mentality
care
kind
of
of
me.
thing. So it's actually very endearing. There's a whole other side of masculinity that doesn't get talked about. I mean, obviously, Rolo knows about it. Rolo got a whole like wife and a daughter, so don't play me. I hope you're watching. So there's like this whole other side of masculinity. These men like taking care of women. So they wouldn't really look down on it, but the thing is like if you wanted to take that route, if you want, these quote unquote high value men, they're normally making that much money to turn that money into things like a house and a family and babies. And basically the problem with that is there's young women out there who already know the game, so they would just scoop those guys up. I did it. I was 27.
My thing is, my father has houses from Compton, Inglewood, Culver City. As a low value man, to me, I'm getting more than what he can bring, but what he brung to the table, I will enjoy. It's enjoyable to do that. It wasn't forced. He enjoyed taking care of our family, 5 kids. He enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it's not like no one enjoy it. It's just that's not what I'm accepting. That's middle class for me. I already lived that. I already lived that life. It's not that I'm looking to be married and live in a Inglewood or Hollywood and live off a 9 to 5, or it's something greater than that in life for me.
So because you were kind of born
already
and
there,
you were raised in this
Culver
in this certain
Hollywood, like it's a whole nother level.
You're trying to make sure that you go up one step
I don't
further.
need to get married.
Question for you, but believe me, I think we're just spending some time on you because I know Stirling's story, I know Aly's story, we don't know much about you.
I'm sorry.
You've said you're on the show for a reason. So my point is, don't think that we're picking on you.
No.
But you are saying things
love
that
my
like antennas
testimony.
going off. So you're saying that you want a high class lifestyle, meaning you've done the low class lifestyle.
And not low,
you've done
but
the middle.
just,
You've done the
lived
middle
it.
class
Yeah.
thing. You're like, listen, I ain't settling for no BS. I only want the best of the best.
I just
and
want
I'm willing
something
to
that I feel
become the best version of myself so
to
I can
get it.
attract that man.
Because I'm not going to ask for something lower
Got
than
it.
what I'm
Now,
asking
what
for.
if I were to tell you that man making $500,000 a year or $5 million a year, let's just say, gives 0 fucks about your drive, your ambition, your career. 0. He's basically saying, hear me out, I got this, baby girl. Don't hassle me. Don't annoy me. I just want to have peace. Your words. So here's what I need you to do. Accept the lifestyle that I'm bringing to you.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to retweak that little attitude. You are good
little
enough. Now you're going to be in my world. I have no interest in
What you
our
do.
worlds combining.
Right.
You're going to get on my page. It's almost like what Aly said about her husband.
Well,
is that something that turns you on or off
I
that
love
lifestyle?
it. Well, I better have a black card in my name, credit, but it be in good enough, and trade lines and just different things need to be for me to not to work.
Okay. So you heard what Aly said about her life.
So she accept a week. My weekly is totally different.
Okay, so when Aly says, I get $100 a week as an allowance, keeps in mind she lives in Kansas, how likely are you?
And I live in LA, born and raised
live
in
in LA.
Hollywood.
Yeah, you would need
Now
a bigger allowance.
How likely are you to take a $100 a week allowance?
It would have
And
worked.
if the answer is hell no, which I'm gonna allow you to answer,
No, I'm right.
what is your ideal weekly/monthly allowance, Keiona?
What I gotten already?
What have you gotten, and what would you like to get? That bag, the proverbial bag.
I
Go ahead.
don't want to talk too much, so I might stop my money flow. But
Or you might attract more.
hey,
So $100 allowance, is that acceptable to you? Why or why not? And what are you looking
no,
for?
because that's my weekly will be over 2 already. That's just weekend money.
Over $2,000.
That's just weekend money.
Weekend money, play
That's not
money.
monthly.
Okay.
Monthly will be over 10.
Okay, gotcha. So
That
for a
was
man
to
wife you up,
I'm not saying what
minimum
I
10
wife up, but what he would wife up, but what I was offering, me coming to the table, how I look, and I don't know. It's like you gotta have a mouthpiece to ask what you want. It's kind of like where I'm from is closed mouth don't get fed. It's like you have to say what you want, and somebody gonna say no. Well, it's like you double up your price, and then you lower it.
Right.
when she's saying closed mouths don't get fed, how are you processing that? Because in my opinion,
My cat
for a
might
pretty
be-
girl in your house living with you, you better not be talking too much. You might want to close that yap to keep that money coming.
Yeah,
That's my perspective.
If you know your,
What-
if you know your position.
What do you know your role?
Yeah.
How do you process what she's saying?
I mean, so she said closed mouths don't get fed.
Correct. And
so you have to ask for things in order to get what you
yeah,
want.
squeaky
And it could be
wheel get the grease. I get
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean that's fair
could
and that's
be
standard
anything.
because men are not mind readers. So if you
Yeah.
want something from him, you should
Anything.
verbalize it, but
Yeah.
just be reasonable. So the $100 allowance is my idea, just
Right,
because I saw
anything.
locally how much a cup of coffee costs, and all I want to
Right,
do
it's-
is be able to go into some coffee shops a couple of times a week, and then maybe I want to get my nails done, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I want to buy a dress or something because I can go shopping at Ross. But if I lived in Orlando or something like that, I think it would have to be more than that.
Yes.
But that was something that I was interested in
Right.
because it's just good habits. Because my husband gave me this credit card, and it felt like I was swiping it into the ether, and I really couldn't keep track of it just because my mind couldn't connect. You know how Disney does the fast pass on the wrist so
Yeah.
that you spend more money?
Anybody
Out of sight, out of mind. Just keep swiping.
Yeah, pretty much. And so that's what it was like for me. And I was like, can I please just get this prepaid thing? And he ended up doing it, and I like it. It's good for me.
All right. Well, let's talk. Let's move on. Let's talk about financial goals as a couple. That's a topic that we're going to discuss right now. So you're married, you're single, you're complicated. Shared bank accounts, splitting expenses, allowances, splitting of the bills. How do you process what's going on here with everything we're discussing about allowances? I've been in relationships where I've given girls quote unquote allowances, right? Some of them were working for me, girlfriends at the time, need you to get to work. On top of that, I know how costly it is to be a woman. Hair, makeup, nails, tanning, this, that, the other, clothes. I get it. So for me, I was giving a girl a couple grand a month just to do you, baby. When you hear this, what have you done and what are you willing to do for the right woman?
I mean, in my situation, it's always been a case of, look, anytime she's around me, I pay for everything. I'm not going to let you pay for like a taxi. I'm not going to let you pay for
Dinners,
dinner,
drinks,
God,
Ubers,
no,
movies,
not a
basic
chance.
stuff.
Not a chance. Yeah, basic stuff. So when she's around me, it's all paid for by me. If I want to fly her in, if I'm on business somewhere and I'm like, she's a few countries away or whatever, okay, come.
Yeah.
Like, I'll pay for that shit. Like, take the weekend off, come over. But obviously, I'm not at that stage yet. But if I had a child with said lady, right, then that's a case of like, okay, everything's covered. Don't worry about it. Like, I take care of it. I take care of it all, right?
Man being the provider.
Yeah, exactly. But it would be a situation where I'd give them an allowance, like, but it wouldn't be outrageous. It would be within reason. I'm not a sucker.
What would you say
But
is
it's
not an outrageous
Sucker.
number and is acceptable?
Wow.
For example, if hypothetically, if I had a lady who lived in Eastern Europe who was having my child,
Yeah.
I would say, okay, well, I'd look at the census and be like, how much does it cost to like raise a kid in this country? All right, let's
$20 a year.
like it ain't good. Okay,
got off cheap, bro.
you're not gonna famoosh me for like $1,000
How about
if it
women
costs you $5 a week to feed the baby.
Gotcha.
You're not gonna famoosh me.
You're automatically going to Eastern Europe. Why?
Not
Because you would
automatically.
only have a kid with a girl
Not
out there.
necessarily.
Because they're
What about a
feminine.
modern American woman that lives in LA
No,
that
don't
wants
do it.
$10K?
Don't do it.
I think it depends
Hold
on
on.
the
When
person.
everyone's speaking, nobody speak. Let's Sterling do his thing, and
I'll
I'll
just
come
finish
to
it
you.
up. I would be against the idea of having a child in America.
Really? Is it because you're Australian? Is it because you're Mr. International worldwide?
it's
because you've been girled on 7 continents? Or is it because there's something about women in the West that are just not what you're looking for?
It's not even the women; it's the legal system here.
Ah, gotcha. The court
It's
system.
just the laws here.
Gotcha.
I think they take it. I think they're
Number one,
The
court system.
the incentives are wrong, and they're incentivized wrongly
Yeah.
to try and I mean to try and make the women break up with the dude and
Yeah.
like take money and get child support. Right? I would much rather a situation where the government is not involved at all.
Right.
Like okay, like for example, I would happily get married in a church and keep it a purely religious
Right.
ceremony. The
Yeah.
government has no involvement in it whatsoever.
Signing papers, no
Just
nothing.
me, you, and a priest. Cool,
Mm-hmm.
done. No, I'm not signing a paper or anything.
Nothing.
Because
That's
then
what I'm
the government
saying.
gets
That's why
involved.
I'm
Then the
not
government
doing
gets
it.
involved,
That's
right?
what I said. No
Are you getting a
paper.
prenup signed?
Well,
That's where
if
I'm
there's
at. No
again
papers.
in the USA, you get either way you get screwed. Even if you have you'll still end up paying child support even if you're not married. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna get screwed over either
Child
way.
support, I think you're totally okay with. You want to pay for the kid regardless.
Yeah, but I don't want.
It's paying for a woman
But here's
that divorce you and there's no kids and you're still paying for
that
her.
too. But here's my argument against like. Maybe it's an idealistic one, but I should want to take care of my kid.
Of course.
And I would, right?
It's a
That's the
no-brainer.
whole point.
Of course.
To me, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
I shouldn't have to have a government put a gun to my head and force me to pay for my child.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. That's what I have a problem with.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to take care of the kid no matter what, but I don't like the idea of big daddy government putting a gun to my head and saying, pay this or you're going to jail.
Yeah, it's choice versus force. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
Get back on the subject of splitting expenses, paying bills. You know, you're balling out with $100 weekly allowance. Gang.
I am, though.
How does it work in your house, and what do you recommend for most couples to work?
I mean, oh goodness, you have to talk about this stuff yourselves. I have just found that it's harder to have the finances separate than they are together. But I have your average marriage, well, women are not marrying average men, but you know, for the folks that are married, a lot of husbands don't trust their wives with the money because if they were to put them together, the woman would overspend. Whereas I don't really think that's a concern in my situation. It's just if I can't see how much money is in the pot, then I can't accurately spend the money. Because I'm not like a minimal spender. I'm like, what's my limit? Okay, it's $99.99. That's where we're at. So I found that it's easier to just have them joint, have that separate card, just prepaid. And my husband kind of does most of the finances. I do make supplemental income, and I would say that that's where the utilities come from. But my husband is paying the bulk of it, you know, mortgage, home insurance, taxes, things like that.
You said, you know, there's this concept of like the man making the money, the woman kind of being the bookkeeper, keeping track of the money. I'm not very comfortable with that. So, you know, like in relationships, especially with sex, the men are the gas, the women are the brakes. We've heard that before. The men want to go, you know, sex. Women are like, not so fast, not so fast, not so fast. With money, it's a little bit different. Okay, the men kind of have to be the brakes, where the women want to go on trips, they want to spend, they want to get this, they want to shop, they want to get makeup, where men are like, not so fast, honey. So this gas brakes analogy, I think, is a little bit of a different metaphor when it comes to the spending of the money.
Well, that's Western women. That's American women. Because there's Eastern cultures where the man makes the money and the women just manage it, but they manage it well. So that's just a problem that we have here with consumerism.
Yeah.
I mean, women own majority of, credit card, consumer debt, and then the student loan debt. So that's our problem with insatiable women because, you know, passport bros, y'all are up. Yes, these Eastern women get it, so...
Yeah, I don't know if, like, I work in finance. I'm a money guy. I don't know how comfortable I would be turning over the bank account, the millions, the whatever, to be like, hey, you're a gorgeous, hot, young girl. Now you're my fucking accountant. I don't know if that sits well with me.
You are not getting those login details.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So how are you processing that? You'll pay for the bills, but you ain't getting access to your accounts,
you're
right,
not
Stirling?
getting access to my bank account for a start.
Right.
That ain't happening.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, it's so... That's... Yeah, to me, that's just common sense. Like, like the idea of, okay, we have a joint account, or I fund an account that you have access to, whatever. Like you said, to put the brakes on things occasionally. Ironically enough, with my parents, it was actually the other way around. My dad said this. My dad actually said, if it wasn't for your mother, I would have been broke a long time ago.
Really?
He actually confessed that to me. But he was the workhorse, and but my mum's, she's like super accountant, bookkeeper kind of personality, so she did all that stuff anyway. So for her, she was actually the brakes, and he was like the earning the money, and she was like, we have to put money here for this mortgage and that mortgage and blah, blah, blah. Normally, it is, however, the other way around. Normally, it is the guy making all those kind of big, big level financial decisions. So, well, if you get this bag, honey, then it means we miss our mortgage payment this month, right? And we're out of a house.
Exactly.
You know? So it's like those
how
kind of...
How important is that bag? Well, at the end of the day, you know, as much as I can, I try to smash in and equate finance and romance, right? And I use terms like, you want a woman to be an asset, not a liability. Right. We've all been in relationships where the woman has been a massive liability, whether that's financially, emotionally, socially, and it's just like, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. We've also been in relationships, or at least seen relationships, where the woman is just such an asset. It sounds like your mother, was a major asset and enabled your father to reach success. And I think that's what every man would want at the end of the day. It's like for you, you've been very open. You're like, yeah, my husband's not a millionaire, but I'm helping him get there. I'm an asset, not a liability, right?
Yeah, well, I'm giving him, I mean, it's not giving, okay? We do this stuff together. But my husband spent a long time being a bachelor. He was a bachelor until he was 48. And then you come to find out you're allowed to date younger women. So there you go. So I get to have this legacy with him. I get to be a witness to his life. I'm going to be taking care of him in old age. That. People act like if he was my age, that wouldn't be the situation. No, like you get old together. You take care of each other. And we're also going to have children, and that's going to occupy his time. He looks very forward to being a father. But I understand that a lot of women tend to be a drain. But you know what I think? I think that women push their luck when they know that they can with a man, right? You should have a healthy fear of your man. Like if you spend a lot of money behind his back, you should be like, oh, maybe that's not the move. I have seen grown women in their 50s get their credit cards taken away because they're spending money behind their man's back. That is so disrespectful. I want for nothing to deceive my husband in that way is like disgusting, reprehensible. So stop doing it,
I have
ladies.
a friend that is getting a divorce right now, shall remain nameless. I have a friend that's getting divorced because he found out that his wife was spending money on the credit card behind his back. Not once, not twice, 3 strikes, you're out.
Not good.
And it wasn't 2,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000. It's 6 figures of credit card debt that he was not aware of.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
She was
Let's
bad
move
girl.
on to the next topic, and then we'll get on to some super chats, and we'll open it up for a roundtable discussion. You talked about the age gap in dating and taking care of your man as you get older. You said there's a 22-year age gap?
23.
Okay, so I want to hear from Stirling's perspective, my perspective, and you ladies. What is an ideal age gap these days? Because, it's no secret men like younger women, but it's sometimes, like we had a friend on recently who's almost 40, he says he wants an 18-year-old.
Oh.
I said that's a little aggressive. If you want to take her on a date, have some fun, but to be your wife, but that's 22 years, but that's a different mindset. You're 25-ish. Okay, sure. But that's a different mindset. So what do you think is an appropriate age range? What do you think is an appropriate age gap? What are the ages that you see yourself with a woman settling down with? Go ahead, Stirling. What do you think is appropriate for men, for women? What are you seeing out there?
I mean, I think it just works out better when the guy's older. In general, like always the case. Typically, like with that is like a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, like whatever. I don't really see a limitation on it. Like if a dude's in his 40s, if a dude's in his 50s, and he meets a girl who's like 18, 19, 20, 21, and they genuinely hit it off, and they genuinely want to like have a relationship and have kids together, I don't see why the hell anyone should be chiming in and stopping it. Whatever happens between 2 consenting adults is no one else's business as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, like Dane Cook just literally got engaged. I think you want to say he's 50.
Yeah.
She's like 21.
Yeah.
She's hot.
Okay, very hot. Well, clearly.
Everyone getting upset about Leonardo DiCaprio's dating
turns them
history.
in when
To
they're
me, that's
25.
like every year, bang, just turns in for a new model. Let's go.
Look, full disclosure, I've been 18, 19 plus, okay? But these are not women that I'm going to be serious with just because of the mindset and where you're at in life is totally different. If I go into so when I'm not doing this show here, I run a financial firm and I travel a lot and I do a lot of public speaking and I'm having meetings. I can't be a 40-year-old man, 42-year-old man to be exact, showing up with my 18-year-old girlfriend to a financial conference. It's just not a good look. Yeah. So how long you guys been married? Well, I just graduated high school, and I'm enrolling in college, and I would love for you to take me seriously, Mr. Business Person, Mrs. Business Person. It's not a good look.
All right.
That's for me.
Is it a bad look, though, because all these other guys are just jealous of you?
I don't think that they're jealous. Okay, how about this? Would I rather be with a hot 19-year-old girl at 42, or would I be with a hot 49-year-old girl? Give me the fucking 19-year-old girl all day long. I believe that a man should be older. Certain people around here have much younger husbands. That ain't the episode. That ain't the vibe I'm looking for. Yeah. That's me. But different strokes for different folks. But at some point, there's a weird age situation mindset. Like, How does it work? Like, was it ever weird for you? 22 years age difference?
Oh my gosh. It was a little bit weird, right? Because I had cognitive dissonance. I was like, this man is fine. And I was like, oh, but he's older. I'm not supposed to be looking. But I was like, I can't stop looking. He's so handsome.
Silver fox.
Yeah. So I had to get over that. And I'm glad that I did, because society makes it look really bad and like it's predatory. The reality is I was 25.
Yeah.
You know, and I've also lived
Sounds like you were the one being the predator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, you know
But
what?
there is a big difference, Aly, between being 25,
Yes.
Yeah.
7 years removed from high school,
Yes.
3, 4 years, 5 years removed from college, have a job, working world, then, yeah, I'm really studying for my SATs right
Yeah,
now. And
no.
it's like, that's a little predatory to me.
Yeah.
And I've hooked up with girls who are 19 years old. So,
Yeah.
but that's a big different from dating that girl, being serious with that girl. But 25 and 45, 47, it works. What's the best part about that? What's the biggest challenge with that age gap?
Oh man, to the pick-me's that are out there, look, girl, you got leverage. They don't want these women their age. If you're going for a silver fox, they don't want the women their age. So go ahead and get you one. These older men are good. They are good. Stop it. And you know, if you play your cards right, you get to have like the hot one. Get out of here. My gosh. So I would say that
I'm going to put you on the phone with the girl I'm seeing these days. You let her know.
I got a 22-year-old for you. Don't worry about it. We'll talk.
22. Huh?
No, one of the things about it is
Changing your
that
mind quickly, Adam.
you kind of get that instant security. You can build with a man your age, and don't get me wrong, I would have. But to be frank, a lot of men don't feel comfortable being men these days, like millennial men, Gen Z men. I don't think I would have ever been able to have a functional relationship with a man who was within my age range. Unless he was, very mature. So there is something about Gen X men where they understood how to be men because they either sank or they swam when it came to game. And if you were bad with the girls, you got made fun of, and you had to make plans and take risks and make phone calls and like take the risk on like the party line. Somebody could hear you spitting game. So I found to be an advantage. I don't know what's going to happen to America when Gen X men phase out. That's not going to be a good thing for us. But I would say on the downside of it is that these men are very set in their ways. They want my husband, he wants like a presentation from point A, this is what I would like changed, this is why I would like it changed, and this is how I think we can accomplish this goal. And he'll like look it over and consider. It's like a boardroom meeting. He's like, all right, I will consider this.
Sounds
I
like
might
he's a
alter
very
this.
logical, practical actor.
Right.
Yeah,
good.
it's a good thing. But some women don't know how to handle that, how to be in a man's frame. It would be very intimidating for, I would say, a younger woman, like younger than 24. I mean, and 24 would be the earliest you could mature in America, I think.
You think 24 is the magic number for a woman?
Well, that's the youngest you could be, and maybe not be as narcissistic as other women. I think that you should be ready for
Where are you getting
a
that
family.
number from, by the way?
Oh, I talk to women every day. So it's
Gotcha.
like the ones that have got it together, if they figure out the game and they're logical and they're smart and they understand hypergamy in a good way to use it for, common sense things like women used to. The youngest I've seen it is 24. Younger than that, no.
They don't get it. Keiona,
Yeah.
we're
Yes.
talking this age range. You're a beautiful girl. You're
Thank
getting wooed from all types of men. What type of age difference, maximum age range, even younger
Well,
men would you consider?
I won't date young, but my age group in 40 plus or 30. And
40 plus?
we can be 30.
Well, there's a big difference between 30 and 40
It's
now.
only 10. So I'm just trying to think about the age I
Okay.
was when
You
I had.
prefer an older man,
Older.
ideally
Older.
40.
No, 60.
60?
When I was 20, I dated a 63. 63.
Ooh,
Now, I
hold on.
was
We
with
have a
him for
new
8
world record
years.
right now. Sorry, Aly. You just got blown out of the water.
Yeah.
When you
It
were
makes
20,
sense.
you were dating a
I
63-year-old.
was 23.
Okay, you were 23 and he was...
63.
Okay, so there's a 40-year age gap.
And we were together for 8 years.
Oh, wow, wow.
Yeah.
And it was... So I assume when you were 23 and he was
So my best
63, he had money and you weren't bringing much to the table
No, I was just a
other than hotness
yeah.
and youth
I
and
just don't
fidelity.
understand how can he even find me interesting. That's the thing. He kind of helped me start my whole life. And it's like a blessing in a sense because someone can kind of see that type of person is that person, but they just need a little help. And I'm only blessed that he kind of put that step behind me. So
That's true.
Did he ever meet your parents?
Well, when he had to come pick me up, no.
Well, no. So, and he's how many years older than Dad? And we're not using any names.
Okay,
so
my
don't feel-
dad is 50 now. And I was dating him, so he was way older than my dad.
That's got to be awkward for Dad.
But Dad, Dad, you know how you are, so it is what it is. So
But what
he
did
already
you
knew what it
find?
was.
What did you find attractive to a guy
His
like
mind.
My mind's telling me
He was
no.
a gentleman, and he was very. I love a grown man that know what he want. I feel like my age, they were still looking for what I was looking for, and it was kind of too much. Like it feel like we like blind leading the blind at that point. So
Right,
like
so I got a guy who's decisive.
right. So for me to have an older man in my life, it was like I need a mentor. I always wanted someone that I can learn from. I'm a learner. I want to learn. I love to read. I love to. If I can learn from you, I don't need nothing else from you. No money, no nothing. If you got something that I can learn from, because I'm the type of person, you just got to bring me to the water, baby. I'll go fishing.
Sounds like you need to start banging
I bring
professors.
it home now. I'll cook it. So
Okay.
Did you date him for to marry him, or did you date him to get that mentorship?
I didn't know it. I didn't know what I was hoping for whatever it was. If he said it, I was going to do it.
All right.
So you
I
were
like
in love
that.
with him.
I was in love.
Real quick.
It was money. It was love, money. I don't know. I'm a
But
kid.
that's
I got
part of
everything.
it. Yeah, that's
I just
Okay.
got
definitely
everything
part
I
of
wanted.
it.
Real quick, next topic. By the way, let's get to some super chats, Nat, if you want to do that now. Are you ready for that?
Yes,
Before
I
we
will
do
do
that,
super chats.
let's just get a close-up on Sterling right now. Quick word from the future President of the United States.
Yes.
Sterling, how you feeling right now, brother? What do you want to say for the people
Look,
out there?
I'm optimistic about the future of America. I think we're going to do great things together. You and me. We can change this planet. We can change this country. We can put things back together again.
Talk to the
Vote
ladies for a
Sterling.
second.
Vote Sterling.
Talk to the ladies for a second. Go get that female vote real quick.
Right.
Hey, ladies.
This gets the
Them
female
shoulders.
votes. What more do you need, Adam? Come on.
Correct. That's how Barack did it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for future president of the United States, Stirling Cooper, right there. Natalia, go ahead, rapid fire with some super chats. We'll move on to the next topic.
All right. Thank you for the super chats, everybody. We'll start off with Edgardo Campos. Nat's always glowing. Thank you. Trey, hey Nat, you're a beautiful smile. I'm shooting my shot. Check your IG. We've got beaten cheeks.
Is the super chat just dudes simping over you? Is that all that's
Not
going
all
on?
the time. I get some hate, which I appreciate, but not all the time. But those are the first two,
Cutie
so we
over there.
appreciate you guys
Right.
too. Then we have Beaten Cheeks. He said, "I'll sponsor the podcast if I get love back when I stand mine up in the mouth." Shout out to Adam, Sterling, Aly, and Nat. Sorry to the new girl. You're hot though. You're doing great, Mr. Disease Freeze. Then we have Bean Cheeks again. Kiana, what do you offer for my wealth? I worked 15 years.
Oh, excuse
for
me.
if you cannot even pick up a dish to wash before I decide to take my past hoship. Then we have We Coach, mental health check. Unresolved trauma is a reason why her expectations are unreasonable and unattainable. Seeking therapy will heal you completely. Zoro Lost 11. I also see you a lot of the time, so we appreciate you. She's a prime example of why Myron is writing the book Why Women Deserve Less. The delusion is real with the masculine oozing out of her. Akeda Porter, love you, Aly. Hope you're doing great time in Florida. Lemon Pepper Wing, 69. Oi, Adam, this woman spends $2,000 on her cats and tell her to stop the cat. Then we have the last one, New Horizons. Sterling, what's the update with your friend AU that could turn hoes into housewives? He's out of jail yet. That man needs to write a book. Always a pleasure,
He
sir.
is out of jail now, actually.
And then I
What
have a
was
last one that just came up from Chris.
Not who you're thinking.
He said, damn, she spent 8 of her most fertile years with a man who obviously didn't want marriage and children.
I'm learning. I'm growing.
And then last one again, pop
know
up
if it was funny.
from RR8. Sterling, you and Jay Waller have to come by the Chicago sometimes. I got to meet y'all. Much love, man. And that is for the super
Nice.
chats. Make sure you guys
Shout out.
like today's video and subscribe.
Yeah.
We appreciate all of you. And let's get into the rest of
Yeah.
the episode.
Boom. What do you like to say? Make sure you like, subscribe.
Oh, like the video, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified of Adam's daily videos.
Wow. Nat, go ahead and give that one a shot.
Make sure you guys subscribe.
Anyway, Jorge, real quick, close up on Nat. Show those teeth.
Show my teeth.
Oh.
They are real teeth. They are not whitened.
Close up on Aly, looking beautiful and pregnant.
Oh, Thank you.
Hey.
Smile, smile. Yeah.
Girl, no, I ran out of my whitening
Keiona,
toothpaste.
let's go. Oh, seductive look into the camera.
Veneers and eyes in them.
Oh, veneers.
And back to the President of the United States if we
do
can.
a wave. Do a wave. Oh, okay. That's
Yeah. Have your vote.
And
Anyway,
you too,
back-
Adam. Adam, you're in a new suit. You get okay.
Yeah, by the way, real quick for the suit,
posse.
people want to
Yes.
know. Shout out to my boy Hafiz Baku, roommates. This is the standard, by the way.
so cute.
Oh, you're
Came and gave me a
kidding.
gift.
Yes. It
looks
Shout
like
out
it's
to him
good
and
for
Joseph.
the hotness.
Respect. If you want to get dope suits, it's a free plug. Hafiz, the standard. Great group of guys. Respect. Thank you guys for making me look good. Pure respect going out their way.
Yes.
With that being said, I want to bring up something because we all met almost a year ago at the CME, right? The Conference for Masculine Excellence, a networking event, right? A self-improvement event. So one of the things I always say is, and it took me years to realize this, I've been in the nightlife world, I did stand-up comedy, I've done finance, I've done business relationships, biz dev, I host podcasts. Am I like a money guy? Am I a nightlife guy? Am I a podcaster? And more than anything, I'm a networker. I enjoy getting out of the house, putting on a nice suit, looking good, feeling good, smelling good, acting good, get it right, get it tight, and meeting people. Network is your net worth. That's how I met you guys. This is great. So I want to have a conversation on the power of networking. So we met at the CME. You were with Justin Waller. Fresh and Fit were there. Tate wasn't there, but I know that he's part of that crowd. I met you in an elevator, I'll never forget, with Pearl, right? We're coming up the stage. You're like, hey, I know you. I'm like, oh, who are you? Boom. The power of your network. So you hang out with an elite group of dudes, right? Jay Waller was here last week, whether it's Rolo, Fresh and Fit, Tate. Tell me your experience rolling with these guys, with this network that you've created, and how that's helped shape your business and personal life.
I mean, it just creates like a level of abundance, really. Like when you're around guys who have their finances in order, who are very well networked themselves, who have a lot of status and influence. It just creates this overall level of abundance that seeps off into every other level of your life, right? So you're going to learn things off everybody else, surreptitiously learn through osmosis. Okay, how does this guy behave around like a waitress? How does this guy behave around like a bank manager? How does this guy behave in the club when he's talking to the table manager or whatever, right? And all these, you sort of just by surrounding yourself with people who are doing better than you are. And I'll flat out say all these guys that you just mentioned are all doing better than I am. Like, so I kind of like the fact,
Maybe in the boardroom, if you know what I mean.
Right. But I kind of like the fact that I'm surrounding myself with guys I can look up to and be like, okay, I can learn this, and this off of you.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe I can add in, my value here and there. But by being the quote unquote dumbest person in the room per se, you just give yourself that overexposure to how you can improve your life on every level.
Right. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find better rooms, is what they say. Yeah. So if you're the poorest person in the room, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just got to find, the type of person that can basically motivate you. If you're the richest person in the room, you might need to find a better room.
And you'd be surprised at how easy it is to network with guys who are doing better than you if you're just fun to be around. Seriously, it's people like feeling good. It's not rocket science. Yeah, obviously a lot of people will network with you because you can have a fantastic business opportunity together. Cool, great. Or you can introduce them to someone important. Great. But you can, if you don't have any of that stuff, right? Let's say you're a young guy starting out. You've got none of that. What can you offer? Enthusiasm, energy, positivity, just making a dude laugh. Yeah, can get you a long way.
100%. The what do they say, that you know who your true friends are when you can't provide anything other than your friendship? You find out who's there for you. So, we talked about, to just shift topics real quick, we talked about the network that you've created, and the centerpiece of that, in my opinion, is Tate. Obviously, he brings you guys together, everything that he's put together. What's your take on what's happening with him these days?
Well, they recently were videoed being going in and out of the Dicot headquarters in Romania. There's a reason. obviously, I think the allegations are ludicrous. Obviously, I think these guys are innocent. They're my friends. I don't need to wait for any more evidence or anything to come out to know that these guys are innocent. I know these men, right? But what's becoming more and more obvious to the international stage as everyone's watching this case, they aren't, for example, as one of many examples, they're not using the CCTV footage from within their house that the police have had for about 9 months from the previous time they were arrested, right? Or charged, right? Allegations, right? They're not using any of that in the case because the police know that it'll prove them innocent. They're just abusing the Romanian legal system to keep these guys in detention, to try and look tough. The prosecutor specifically to try and look tough, so he gets the DICOT position that's up for election in like 2024. That's all it's about. It's just about them abusing the Romanian legal system to try and make themselves look tough so they can get elected to a position.
Let me ask you, and I'll go on the record and I say a lot of this is just trumped up BS charges. I don't believe any of it until you show me that what he's guilty of. Right. I'm on Team Innocent, Team Tate camp, no doubt. How much though do you think it was the fact that he was like, listen, every country's corrupt. Every country's corrupt. You've heard him say this thing. He's like, the difference in Romania is I'd rather be able to pay the person to get off and just keep it moving because every country's corrupt. I'd rather be able to just cut a check, give some cash, keep it moving. You've heard him ever say this? How much do you think that there's some prosecutor or some legal person in this country's like, well, I don't think so, my friend. I'll tell you, we'll show you. How much do you think that had an effect on him getting arrested?
Like some guy with a chip on his shoulder, basically.
100%. You're like, you're talking shit about the legal system. And this is pure speculation, but how much do you think that played a role?
I mean, it's entirely possible. I don't know, but it's entirely possible that this guy's like, felt personally attacked maybe because he's in the legal system and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to try and prove something.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's probably a component of it.
But if you look at the history of this DICOT, DIICOT, right? That's the department that's currently investigating them, right? If you look through the history of their leadership, it's just corruption all the way down for like the last few years. Just corrupt. So do I suspect that this prosecutor is probably being corrupt? Well, it's obvious he's being corrupt because he's not presenting any evidence to prosecute them. He's abusing their legal system to just detain my friends.
Abuse of power. You've got pretty strong opinions on this situation. As a woman, how do you process what's going on with our friend Andrew Tate over there in Romania?
I have a couple of opinions. So here's the thing. I feel like I'm just going to wait because one time Kanye said something and I gave my take way too soon after he said some things. And then he said way worse things the next day. So I've just learned to be patient. And investigations are good. Hopefully the Romanian government does the right thing and does what they're supposed to do because investigation is to find somebody innocent or to find them guilty, right? So I think due process is good in that way, but it's Romania, so that's a little bit different. But he did make himself an enemy of the Matrix, right? So let's say the Romanian government did hate him and needed to win, a political game. He's an excellent target for that. Let's just get rid of this. What they want to call him like alt-right or something. Let's just, let's mess with this guy so we can look good to, I guess, the Romanian liberals, right? I mean, I guess it would look good in that context. And also, you can not like what he did with the webcam stuff and still say that maybe these women weren't, that intensely manipulated. Oh no, boo-hoo, woe is me. I get to stay in $1 million mansion. This is so sad. You can be critical of both sides. It's my opinion, though, that he's this is what I thought. He was on his way to turning over a new leaf, basically like a new chapter of life, more focusing, I think, on the women in his life and his children. That's my perspective. I have no idea. But hopefully the Romanian government does the right thing. Leave him alone,
We'll see.
I think perhaps him converting to Islam might have rubbed up some Romanian officials the wrong way. Because Romania is the most orthodox Christian nation on the planet, as far as I'm aware.
That's also another component from what I've heard, is that because he's bragged about how Christian and Judeo-Christian values that they have in Romania, and they kind of viewed that as a slap in the face that he converted to Islam.
That is entirely possible.
That is one of the theories out there.
The thing is, his brother Tristan is Orthodox Christian.
Yeah,
Like
but
his brother's extremely Orthodox, and they've donated continuously to the Romanian church the whole time they've been in Romania. They've done so much charity work in Romania. People, they don't ever talk about this, by the way, because they like to keep charity private.
Right.
Well, they like to keep it private.
Oh,
They
yeah, that
they don't
part.
believe they should.
That's
It kind of
crazy.
defeats the point of charity in the first place.
Right.
If you feel like you need to
Talk about
get
it.
some kind of
don't brag, let others do it
Yeah.
for you.
yeah, some kind of
Essentially
bragging
what
rights
it
about
is.
it.
Okay.
But they've donated to like massive amounts to orphanages, like sheltering homeless dogs, donating to the church. They even personally drove up to the Ukrainian border to like give clothes to children fleeing Ukraine when the conflict started.
You know what I will
that-
say? I don't think the Romanian government is being transparent enough. That I can say for certain because there's way too many conflicting things. There have been 2 women that have already come out that apparently knew him and his brother well, and they're saying what they're saying is not true. I'm supposed to be one of the victims, but here's the thing: because they're not transparent, we can't see if these women are on the dossier or not because they could just be talking out of their mouths and not even be relevant to the investigation. So that they're at least being secretive. I'll say that.
All right.
Do you think anything with Greta Thunberg had to do with part of that arrest?
I think that's
No?
just
Nothing at all.
timing. I don't think that
No.
has any. I
No.
think they were
Just
building
a
their
thought.
case for a while.
Yeah.
I just think that just happened to be like the whole pizza box thing. It's like
Right.
you don't need to track that. You know where he lives. He posts about it all the time. The
Like
pizza box
he
bullshit.
has this thing called a passport.
yeah.
You can tell he's,
can
if
see
he's
when you're in the
the country because he has
Exactly.
a passport. It's simple.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm a firm believer that the guy is more good than bad. I'm a firm believer that he is a net positive, not negative for society. I'm a firm believer in the judicial and justice system and innocent until proven guilty. So unless they make their case and actually prove that he is in fact a criminal, I'm on Team Tate. All good. Moving on. Let's get into some conversations about dating women and everything that kind of comes with that. Now, one of the things I always say here is that success will lead to better things in your life, all aspects of your life. So making more money, having career goals, having things that lead to your success and good things in life will enable you to get more women. Women are attracted to
wealth.
success. Men are success objects, whereas women are beauty objects, right? So when it comes to getting of the women, said women, Sterling, I know this is very much in your wheelhouse. You know, there's a stat out there that 20% of men are getting 80% of the women. So the top men are getting the lion's share of women. And I'm not even sure what the bottom 20% of women would even look like. Not interested in finding that out. But 1/3 of men, so there's the top 20% doing great, getting a lot of the women. The bottom third of men have had, so I think it's the stat is 1/3 of men under 30 have not had sex in a year. So in that case,
or are a virgin.
or are virgins. So God bless all you strippers, sex workers, webcam girls out there, OnlyFans girls. Some of these dudes kind of need you. So what's the best advice that you have for these men out there that are not getting any action, or these virgins, as someone who's had a lot of experience and a lot of confidence? What advice do you have for the men out there looking to get paid and laid?
Specifically, if they're virgins, or specifically if they've had a rather long 12-month dry spell, like the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess everybody was kind of in that position at some point. I think like there's basically never been any dude. I mean, maybe there's been some guys, but most guys who are successful now, who are perhaps in this top 20% that you're talking about, right? At some point in their life, they weren't getting laid. At some point in their life, they weren't making money. At some point in their life, they weren't jacked.
Yeah.
Right. So especially if they're a younger guy, realize you've got to actually put the effort in to get there in the first place. Like when I turned 30, it was this weird thing. Like magically getting women was in like 50% easier. Like the day I turned 30, it was weird. I couldn't rationalize it at the time. I kind of understand it now.
Yeah.
But then I was like, wait a minute. Like from 25 to 30, it was like I was putting in twice as much effort for the same results. And the moment I turned 30, it was magically easier.
What do you think you owe that to?
I mean, just getting better in business, hitting the gym more, all these things compounding over years. Eventually, bang, I'm seen now as a mature, successful man by my potential dating options, right? By all these women out there. So if you're younger, especially, don't beat yourself up over it. If you're younger dude, you're not getting laid, go for the cougars is like a practical piece of advice.
Right.
Seriously, that's what I did in my early 20s.
Experience
Go
it.
for the cougars, man. Like they're thirsty. They're looking for dudes, you know. And you're the guy they're looking for. Like
That's a blue ocean strategy. I've never heard one.
No, they just gonna
If
teach
you're
you something
24 and you can't get any girls who are 21, 22, 23,
teach you
24,
something
go after a 42-year-old chick. She'll teach you the ropes. She'll
Right.
pay for all your dates.
Hello?
You're not going to end up with her.
Yeah.
Boom. Now you get experience.
See?
Now you got
Both of the best
confidence. You got confidence. The cougar mentality. Those shout out to the MILFs out there. Interesting. So that's your advice.
Now, if you're an older guy, I would have to say you're going to have an honest look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm 30, I'm 35 plus, whatever I'm at. Why am I not getting attention from women? And it's one of two things, right? It's either a product problem or a marketing problem. Simple as that, right? So there's probably a lot of guys out there who are actually a good product on paper, right? They're actually in decent shape. They're relatively charming. They're making decent money, but their marketing sucks. They have a trash Instagram or a trash dating app profile. Pure, and 99% of that can be fixed by having a friend who's a good photographer. That's it. You just need to dress a bit. To fix that marketing problem, all you really need is to dress a bit better and have somebody take some good photos of you and teach you how to pose well. That is literally it. If you genuinely are a good product, right? So you have to look in the mirror honestly and be like, am I a shit product or is my marketing shit? And if it's the latter, that's a super easy fix. You can fix that in like a week.
Yes.
A few good outfits, a little bit of tailoring. Hire some kid off Airbnb, that thing they can do on Airbnb where you can get people to take photos of you around a town.
Okay.
Hire some kid off that to go walk you around, pose you up, and get some great shots. Bang, your dating profile is now 1,000,000% better.
Awesome advice. You got a great product, horrible at marketing. Dude, what a powerful statement. Now give me the flip. Let's say you're great at marketing, but have a shit product. What's your advice there?
Okay. So if a dude is actually great at marketing, but his product shit, they get laid all the time. They do.
Fake it till you make it type guys.
We hear women in this city complaining about it all the time.
Yeah.
Right? He had on his Instagram like a flashy Lambo, he's on a boat, blah, blah, blah. It's all rented, it's all fake,
Right.
he's broke, right? And she got famoosed on the date and she
Right.
slept with
Yeah.
him. That happens all the time. So the marketing will trump the
Keiana's
product.
like, oh, man.
It's Miami.
I've been
It's
guilty
Miami,
of that.
It's Miami.
True. I'm right.
We gotta
I
have
don't
it
think
as
it's
that.
exclusive to
I'm correct.
Miami. It's in LA, it's in New York, it's in
Hell,
Chicago,
it's Miami.
it's in Austin, it's in San
We
Francisco.
don't have enough in Miami.
It's
We
everywhere.
don't have enough in LA. Miami has yachts. They have all this new stuff. I'm like Vegas and LA. We don't have that much to show off.
Vegas too.
Yeah,
You
good
know,
point.
you're gonna go to Vegas. You're gonna be a tourist and spend some money. Miami, they got too much stuff, and everything's rented.
Can I, real quick question.
Everything's rented.
Why do women love boats so much?
I hate boats. I have never even been on one.
Well, I
Bullshit.
mean,
I call
I'm
bullshit
scared
on
of
that.
it.
Well, there's two reasons. You look rich. It's a photo op for your girlfriends on Instagram. But, I mean, if you're going to be, I don't know, a woman who likes to further analyze men, a lot of guys that own boats are very chill. Like the guys
That's
that
what
go
I want, a
fishing.
chill
I mean,
boat.
we have lakes in the Midwest.
Yeah.
You should go for the guy that has a boat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Allie,
wait a
I gotta
minute.
stop you there, sweetheart.
Wait a
I
minute.
like party boats.
Again, we're in Miami, whether you're
I
in
want somewhere I
LA.
can read a book.
Ain't no girls like, I just want a good
That's me.
fisherman.
That's
No,
yes.
yeah, bingo.
They want to go on the yacht. They
Yes.
want to twerk.
Yeah,
that's why
They
they're
want to pop
single.
champagne.
Yes.
Stop
Okay,
it.
we can pop champagne
Nobody's
and
like,
read a book.
oh, he's got a great rod. I mean, he might have a
dangerous.
different type of rod.
It's dangerous
Sterling
drinking on a
shout out.
boat. It's dangerous
But not the
drinking on a
type of
boat.
fishing rod you're looking
That's
at.
why these women are in the streets,
No.
okay?
Yes.
It's their fault.
They in the streets. Well, I totally agree. So dude, I love what you said. I hear amazing gems all the time on the show. Just ding, check for Sterling. The product problem or marketing problem, it's way better to have a marketing problem because that's something you can improve on very easily if you have a good product. If you have a shit product, you're gonna get exposed eventually. Okay, like all these guys, and we always talk about
Obtainer.
can the man obtain the woman and can the woman retain the man? But it kind of works the other way around sometimes too.
definitely.
Sometimes the man can obtain the girl, but maybe he wants to keep that moving longer. But she's like, dude, you just got exposed. You have a rented Lambo. You live with your mom. You were borrowing your boy's car. You were popping bottles in the club. It wasn't yours. You're just a club promoter. You just got exposed. Checkmate. And the difference between guys and girls will tell every single one of their girlfriends, oh, you know Bill over here? Bill's a scumbag. He's a liar. He don't do that. Like, a guy will be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know that girl like that. And I just keep it moving. Girls will spread the rumor mill. Yeah, Nat?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say, like, girls, they talk more about, like, their dating experience and their whole thing than guys do. I've talked to a guy where he actually watched the show and he said that men don't really like he doesn't really like go into details about like his dates and the girls and stuff like that, but girls will. Girls will go into details of the things they like, the things they don't like, the things that they're attracted to. Like, they're a little bit more detailed, so you get some feedback. But I think the con of that is that sometimes when girls do that with certain women, they get not good advice, and it can actually hurt the relationship that they're in, even though they're looking for like a support system. Some girls will just like say like, no, girl, he's not for you, because they're jealous that they don't have that. So I think you just got to be careful who you want to have a conversation with when it comes to your significant other. My mom always told me, and I told you this, Sauce.
Mom always told me.
My mom always told me this. She said, you never, ever talk about your family and your husband to anybody. Because as soon as you do, you allow them to have an opinion about what you're talking about. And that is super, super crucial. Because it's one thing if I'm talking about my sister and, oh, she's so annoying. But as soon as somebody says, yeah, she's annoying, I'm going to get defensive about it. So when she said that to me, that statement really stuck with me. So just be mindful of who you want to share things with, just because you allow them to have that opinion. And there's only so much you can do because you gave them that power.
So say that one more time. Be careful as a man.
Yes. Be careful who you share information with. So never ever talk about your family or your husband with anybody, because you allow that person to have an opinion and affect your relationship.
So that's advice for women, you're saying?
Yes, for women.
Gotcha.
And men too, essentially. You know, I don't think it's good like if men is talking about how bad and annoying their wife is, you know, because then they bring this woman around that's essentially makes them look well and look better, and then behind doors they're looking at her like, oh, I know that you do this to your husband and you treat him like this. That's also not a good look for men as well. So I think just in general, like, keeping those things private is very important, and I think you should just work it out with your significant other.
Okay, well, let me say one thing about
I think Stirling.
the way that you speak to men versus speaking to women.
Yes,
So
Adam.
today I had a very wonderful case example and a fresh reminder on the difference the way you speak to men versus the way you speak to women. So I had lunch with my buddy Joe today, and at lunch I was like, listen, bro, here's the freaking deal. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you need to handle it. Enough's enough. Just do this. Do it. He's like, got it, bro. Thanks. Done. Right after lunch, I come and I speak to Natalia. Shoot over to Natalia right there.
Hello.
And I say, hey, Nat, I'm already on one right now. I just had my conversation. I said, I don't like this. This is what we need to improve. This is the deal. Here's what I'm recommending. Please get this done right now. And Nat just sunk down in her chair, and she's like, I don't like the way you just spoke to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm just trying to tell you what we need to do. She's like, can you just speak a little nicer? And I realized you need to speak with men and different, and men and women completely differently. So word to the gentlemen out there, the way that you talk to your buddies or your men in business or business contacts is not the way that you speak to your girl, your girlfriends, your mom, the ladies in your life. Just be mindful. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
And you can be assertive. Women like assertive men. They like men to be dominant. They do. There's women out there that do. But there's certain way that when you correct a woman or you're saying something you don't like, you want to do it in a way where it's like you're feeling for that person, you're feeling for the woman because you care about her, but you also want to guide her. And if you want to guide somebody, you have to do it in a way of like, hey, I'm trying to take you with me, not like you're doing it wrong, figure it out. So I think it's just a way of, you know, the way you deliver a message.
And here's what I will say. So I learned, I had to take that L, learn, but it's so easy for a man to be like, no, you're just being emotional, you're being defensive. Okay, she came to me, and this is why I love Natalia so much, because she said, she could have been like, well, I'm trying my best, and you know, blah, blah, blah. She just said, hey, listen, I didn't like the way you spoke to me. If you can, speak to me a little more gentler. I know what you're trying to do. And I said, you know what? You're right.
Yes.
I'm going to do better next time. we had a hug, it was all good, and we
It was.
moved on.
Yes.
But it could have gotten so much uglier on both ends. But this is the importance of effective communication and understanding how to communicate with men, women, people you work with, your friends. It's very important. So now, pull up the goddamn story right now that we're going to talk to. Anyway, so just a word to the wise. The way you talk to your homies are not to the way that you talk to your homegirls, to girlfriends, significant others. It don't work that way. Because men are more logical, women are more emotional.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with saying that. Women give birth. Shout out to the pregnant girls out there. There's Aly. They grow humans inside their body.
Yes.
Okay? They bleed out of their body once a month to be able to procreate and do all the biological things to sustain humanity. There's a little bit of difference. So there's nothing wrong
very emotional.
with saying that men tend to be more rational, logical actors, where women tend to be more emotional.
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. All right. With that being said, let's move on with the show. We got about another half hour or so. We'll get to some dating talk, some sex talk. We'll do super chats. And then maybe one of you lucky women out there get to have a one-on-one with Stirling, a little communication.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, no, I'm pimping you out, bro.
Put me out.
Let's get a shot on Stirling. He's running for president, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, not being pimped out by Adam.
Being pimped out. I'm just kidding. We're having fun here. Anyway, we just talked about how the top 20% of men are getting 80% of the women. The bottom 1/3 of men are basically not getting laid. They're struggling right now. And a lot of it has to do with the fear of rejection, right? Going up, approaching women. It's the same in the dating market, the sexual market, as it is in the actual marketplace. It's not easy cold calling. I made my money being a cold caller for a financial firm, smiling and dialing all day. And it's not an easy thing to do. A lot of fear, a lot of being unsure about yourself, not having confidence. But when you can develop that, you're able to make those cold calls, you're able to do business meetings, you're able to do pitches. Same thing, you're able to kind of spit game to a woman out there. So a lot of men out there not willing to put in the work to go approach a woman, a lot of it has to do with the fear of rejection. It's much easier to watch porn, okay? It's a lot harder to go up and talk to a woman, right? It's less work, it's less drama, it's less fighting, it's less money to just go out and watch porn. So a lot of this non-interaction, I think, is really affecting men. You've been in the porn industry for quite some time, no longer anymore, other than maybe what you do alone in your home with some significant others.
Does that count as porn if I'm not selling it?
Well, I don't know. I think you know, once having some skills, you kind of still have the skills, is all I'm saying. So how much do you think that porn has prohibited men from going out, talking, interacting, spitting game with women? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's a sedation tool, right? Just like alcohol, just like weed, just like video games. Porn is, I'd lump that all into the same category, right? It's escapism. Takes you away from having the reality of life, of having to go through challenges and obstacles and adversity to get what you want. It's immediate gratification.
Yeah, taking the easy way out.
Yeah.
Why go out there, meet a girl, talk to her, get rejected, spend money, the date didn't work out. It's like, yeah, I could just jerk off.
And it's programming yourself to avoid delayed satisfaction. Right? Because that's one of the number one skills of a successful entrepreneur as well. Is like their ability to delay gratification. Right? If you can prolong that gratification as long as you need to see the end goal, that means like every day I'm working towards this goal and I'm not necessarily getting any positive feedback at all, but eventually, bang, I get a big payout at the end of it. That is what you need to do to get success in basically everything, is that consistency, that delayed gratification, right? And you're training your body to completely avoid that if you're just sitting there fapping off to porn all day. And that's coming from a guy who used to shoot.
I find it so interesting that you've been in the industry, made money, had sex with a lot of women, porn, on camera, the whole thing. But it's almost like you're an advocate for men not watching porn.
Basically.
How do you handle those complete different outlooks?
And when did you come to that conclusion? Was it during your time there? Was it after? Like, when was your turning point?
That's a really, really good question.
Yeah.
Matt wants to know.
I'm very glad you asked that, because so I was in porn and then people started DMing me. Guys would DM me here and there about advice, right? Like, I'm having a problem with this. Can you help me out? Blah, blah, blah. And that eventually pushed me in the direction I'm in now. And it just got to this point where I just saw so many guys had a problem. They needed help. And they had so many guys had a problem with porn now. And it wasn't even on my radar, honestly, when I was in the industry. But then when I started helping dudes out, I'm like, God damn, this is a real problem. And I started looking into the data, started looking into like the biological effects on guys' dopamine receptors, how it really screws them up. I'm like, well, I'm not going to lie. Like, if a guy comes to me, like, heart on his sleeve, hey, I'm struggling with this, I have a problem with this, I'm going to be honest with the guy and be like, bro, stop jerking it.
Yeah.
Step one.
Wow.
You know, because it helped. I genuinely feel for these guys. Because at some point in my like early 20s, I was probably that guy. Maybe not necessarily with a porn problem, but with like some other problem. I was the guy who was like, who would have loved to have found a dude to turn to and be like, bro, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me? So I feel for these kids.
Well, let me read some stats for you. And
You're
I
a changed man, Sterling.
There he is. We're getting him there.
Like, camera shot. Running for president, 2024.
He's changed.
You can do it.
Sterling, look into the camera and say,
You can do
stop
it.
jerking it.
Stop jerking it, dickhead.
Dickhead. You threw a dickhead in there. So here's some stats for you. Here's what I wanted to say. Basically, you know, I kind of did some research on what the most expensive addictions are. And porn is one of the cheapest addictions.
Yeah, it's free.
Porn's free.
Right,
Hello,
it's
you go
free.
on your phone, you go on your computer, you go on wherever you get your local
Entertainment.
entertainment, and it's free. It's no big deal,
fantasy is.
right? You don't have to pay for dinner. You don't got to go buy drinks. You got to
You-
awkward
because
first kiss.
Now you can
You
lie
are
down.
you're the product.
Yeah.
You're the product.
Because, same with
Walking
YouTube. Same with
billboard.
like because of all the paid ads that run.
Yes.
By you viewing it, that's how the
you are
website makes
product.
money.
You know what they say?
You're
If
the
you don't pay
product.
anything,
Billboard.
you're the product. Exactly. Porn is the
Walking
cheapest
billboard.
addiction. Talking about dopamine, the definition of the dopamine is the brain's center for pleasure and satisfaction, and is released when the brain gets a reward. So it's a dopamine effect. Addiction effects: lost interest or distorted beliefs in sex, desensitization to sex, isolation, you're doing it alone usually, and depression. Here's some stats for you, by the way, speaking of porn being the cheapest addiction. An alcoholic spends $5,100 a year on average on alcohol. Cigarette smokers addicted to cigarettes, $12,000 a year. Cocaine as much as $15,000 a year. People like to party. Porn can essentially be free. By the way, here's some numbers for you. Men spend on average $65 a year. That's it, $65 a year on porn. On average, women, $129 a year.
Really?
I'm not sure what they're spending their money on with the porn. Maybe that's porn toys, maybe that's sex toys.
that would
I know that.
Really?
So a couple more stats for you. 3 to 6% of U.S. adults are addicted to porn, and men spend 3 months of their lives collectively watching porn. That's 35 hours a year, and that's 40 minutes a week. You talked about getting these DMs or questions from men basically being like, Sterling, love your work. P.S. How can I stop? What are the biggest problems that you see, and what is step one to addressing this problem as a man?
With younger dudes, it's actually what you'd classify as delayed ejaculation. So it's an inability to climax with their partner, or even get hard in the first place. That is primarily the biggest problem you see with.
Well, those are
with
two,
dudes.
I feel, totally different things.
They're very much related, right? If he's
Okay.
not in general, it's an excitement problem. Like they're not as excited by a real woman sitting in front of them as they were.
Like
to
they
their
just
laptop.
said, the addiction affects
control.
lost interest or distorted beliefs or desensitization. Interesting.
Yeah, and the easy
So
solution.
either you can't get it up or you last too long.
yeah,
It's like A or Z.
you can't get it up or you can't get off at all.
Yeah.
Right.
because you're not excited enough.
Wow.
Basically, yeah. And all that. Step one is obviously stop jerking it to porn. Right?
Okay, and how does stop fapping
Okay.
help the men in the long run?
Well,
By the way, is fap a term for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, fap would be-
We used to call it J-O, but okay. You know.
Different generations.
Different generations, these young kids. I found out recently that lying is capping and jerking off is fapping. All right, there we go.
The vocabulary is
Close
just
for
getting
comfort.
shorter.
Huh?
Sit too close for comfort.
Yeah. The oldest millennial over here.
So the question was, what's the benefit?
Yeah, why step one, stop fapping?
Right.
How does that help you in the long run?
Well, for a start, it's going to start to re-establish the correct sensitivity for your dopamine receptors. If you're jerking off all the time, your dopamine receptors are kind of set to a 10 out of 10 by default. So there's nothing that's kind of really going to be exciting and stimulating enough for you in the real world, right? So, okay, we wean off of that. We can reset that back to its natural, normal level. And then magically, because it's all related to dopamine, magically you become more motivated to hit the gym. You actually become more motivated to start building your business. All these things are positive knock-on effects from stopping that one habit.
Now, is it stopping that, or is it stopping watching porn and doing that?
I'd say they're related. I'd say that's actually a very good question. So with the porn side of things, it will be an overstimulation of the dopamine receptors, and you can screw up like you're exposing yourself to blue light a bunch, particularly if you're fapping in the evening, right? So those are the problems there. Masturbation in general, there's two ways of looking at this, depending upon what problems you have in the bedroom. You can actually use masturbation strategically to kind of help you with certain problems in the bedroom. I won't go into too much detail about that. But if it's a thing that is a constant, like, habitual problem, it's better for you to be spending that romantic time with a woman than with your hand, obviously. Now, we talked about dopamine receptors and stuff. We talked about the positive spiral of quitting this can have. All of these things relate to, like, your body's reward circuitry. You know, so if you can, and cutting out that one habit is the reward circuitry and your dopamine receptors are also intimately linked to some other bad habits that you have, primarily social media addiction, primarily staring at your phone all day.
Yeah.
Like they have the same negative effect on dudes' and women's dopamine receptors, making their attention spans drop to zero, reducing their motivation and their drive in general. So I will tell guys, okay, if you want to stop jerking off to porn, if you're finding that hard and difficult to stop that habit in particular, try with something that is a bit easier for you, like maybe cutting out sugary foods. Something that gives you that instant hit.
Get a win.
Get a win, right?
Yeah.
Reduce your social media exposure, reduce your phone time. These things, because they're all the same problem. They all produce the same problem. So if you can start with whichever one of these things is a bit easier for you first, it'll help you achieve the next one and the next one and the next one.
You know what I just realized, and then I want to open it up to the ladies. I might piss off some of our friends who've been on the show here before, but I always encourage men, stop following chicks that you've never met before on Instagram, that you have no shot at, that she's some hot, ridiculous Instagram model in fucking Thailand. There's no point. Because you're going to look at her and be like, oh my God, she's so hot. The photos are probably doctored anyways. At the same time, you're also recommending stop looking at porn, stop the fap, stop the cap. So what I just realized is you're following all these hot chicks on Instagram. You're recommending the men stop jerking off. Stop following all these famous porn stars on Instagram. So we've had on the show Lisa Ann, Nikki Benz, Sarah J, Alexis Texas. I've had a great time with all these girls. Awesome. Classy women. They're doing their thing. I'm sure you've done scenes with some of these women. But in my opinion, it might not make sense to follow them, especially if they're still actively doing porn. Now, Lisa Ann is a different example because she kind of has a podcast encouraging men to do better about certain things. But you may want to consider not following all these hot chicks, porn stars on social media. I'm sorry. That's just kind of what I said. Do you agree? Do you follow random chicks? Like, what do you do?
You know what? I actually got locked out of my Instagram account, like certain features of my Instagram account this week because I've been traveling a fair bit this last year, and when I landed in a new city, I jump on the dating apps and I follow a few girls here and there, and then I'm not going to end up meeting up with all of them, right? And so I basically went through my Instagram and just unfollowed like several hundred women. And then my Instagram was like, you must be a bot. You can't
man.
Now I can't like or follow anyone for the next 6 days.
Damn.
That's how it is.
Sterling, I have a question for you before we move on. Do you, now that you know what you know and you learn what you've learned, do you, any part of you, like, regret that part, like that decision that you made in your life to do porn today? No? Do you think that it made you better and it's made you...
I had a great time.
Well,
I'm good.
I know, I'm sure. But do you think it's impacted you in a long-term, a positive way? Or do you have, like, somewhat of any, like, regret of that?
No, I think, in the long run, it's allowed me to get to the position I'm in now, so I can actually help dudes.
Yeah.
You know, if you might say it's God's plan if you were inclined to do so. And I think that's a very accurate assessment. I've actually had some of my friends who are extremely religious Christians have literally told me that. They're like, what you're doing now, you're doing God's work.
Yeah, of course.
They've literally told me that. So I'm like, I look
This
at it
may
that
be
way.
extreme.
Nice.
Okay, but just take it as a grain of salt. Like, you ever see these guys who were part of ISIS, and now they're out there talking about how the horrors of being a fundamentalist, hardcore Islamist, and they're like, I got out. Or people who used to be in cults, or even in Scientology, like Leah Remini, she's out there speaking about Scientology. But you need people who are on the inside that get out there and be like, look, this is what it was like.
Yeah.
Here's what you need to know. Here's where I went wrong. Here's what you need to recommend for your friends to do. So thank you for doing God's work is all I'm saying, brother.
He's a changed man,
Were you
everybody.
doing God's work when you were in the industry? That also is a come to Jesus moment.
Look, I wouldn't say I'm a changed man. I'm still a pervert. I'll be completely honest.
You just innovated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. So let me get the ladies' perspective here, because I'm not going to do the typical. So what are you guys watching porn? That's just like a basic question. But what I want to know is, like, let's say you find out your man is watching porn, or he's watching too much porn, or you're going through a drought in your relationship, or you're not having sex, and maybe you know he's watching porn. Give me like a little glimpse of what type of conversations would you have with your man about porn? Like, you guys recognize that whether it's your husband, I don't know what he's doing now, but he's done in the past. I'm sure the men you've dated all do this. Give me a little insight to the mind of a woman when it comes to their man and what they're watching.
Well, I did Playboy, Hustler, Maxima, Penthouse, Bunny Ranch, and I've been top 20 cam model of the nation. So I've always been that it girl that when you meet me, you definitely gonna know I was online. So if my guy did watch it, it was maybe my friend, and I didn't care.
What do you mean it was your friend?
Whether it's a porn star or a cam model, it's somebody that I've seen in convention.
Oh, like
she's
if
like
he's
my
fapping
friend.
it, he's watching one of her friends.
Because I'm in the industry, but not in porn. But camming is the same thing, but not on camera. But live cam through chatting. So when you were saying like the feeling of touching someone without touching them, that's all I did was give a imagination, and I did $15 a minute just selling myself boobs, private. And I never had to do a porn. You came in line, you did private shows, you
So
signed
you're
into
saying
my
that
chat room.
if you go to remember that dream man you were talking about, 6'1", tons of fun, makes $1 billion a year doing his thing, and you found out that he was fapping to porno. Walk me through what conversation you would have with him.
I would ask him, what do you enjoy? Because we might enjoy together. We might enjoy the same thing.
Way to flip it to your benefit.
Yeah, we might enjoy
He's like, hey, I'm
together.
all about threesome porn. You're like,
and I
well,
might not want to do
let
it,
me
but
make a
if you're-
phone call.
No. But
tried.
if you
I
enjoy
tried.
it and you like have the fantasy, if you're watching it, we can watch it together. I
So
mean,
give me
I'm
an
not
example.
into
All right,
three-way.
let's go
I'm not
here.
into three-way.
Give me an example of.
Because it's kind of boring. You don't know if you're doing too much with her or you're doing too much with me. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
that's
people
always
get-
what I
it's
hear. All those
complicated
threesomes
with
are
that
so
shit.
boring.
Like, it's not boring, but
Maybe I don't know if
Can
I want a
can we have
threesome.
some
Sounds horribly
Can we
boring
get it
to me.
together?
Okay,
like,
so if you would,
wiggle it?
if
I
you
don't
would
know.
entertain me, give me an example of something realistically that if your man was like, well, I like watching this, that you'd be open to, versus he's like, yeah, I'm into
open
this.
to
You're like,
any-
I ain't open to that.
I'm open to anything besides it just gotta fit. I'm open to threesomes.
Literally?
I'm open to anything. But it has to, how can I say it without getting too deep? It just, if I was willing to be a cam model porn star, I'm willing to be open to see it.
Gotcha.
Open to touch it. But it has to just make sense, I should say.
Okay, let's go to the more traditional
Right.
woman. When you right,
Right,
off the
'cause
camera
I'm
here.
over here in a
Okay, so
deep
but
end.
what I'm saying is there's a lot that you're open to, you're comfortable
Right,
with
I'm
it.
not- yeah.
Keeping in mind, I've been in the industry. Some of the girls that you might even be fantasizing about
Not
are the
gonna do
homies.
nothing.
But okay,
sorry.
so from more of a traditional woman
I will.
who is into good-looking men, you understand. Men kind of do their thing. Have you ever had to have these kind of conversations when you hear the things that she's open to? Help the men out there. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to get into your personal
No, it's
life.
fine.
I want to know what men should
know.
know about the conversations with their significant others in porn.
It's not a conversation that happens in my house. Like, I put out, number one. Number two, my husband is Gen X, so there was a lot of delayed gratification just when it comes to porn in the first place. It's like you had to go and find a magazine or a
Oh my
VHS
God.
tape. You weren't even able to get it. Like, remember back in the day, you could get it in the gas station and they would black out the front of it. You can't even do that anymore. So it's not really a problem for me. I see a lot of my girlfriends who are with younger men, that seems to be an issue. But I think a lot of the times when we have a conversation about porn, it's worse than people think, because the average exposure, the average age of exposure right now for young boys is 11. So if you're not paying, you're the product. So these gentlemen are getting addicted. It's not a physical addiction, it's a habitual addiction. They're getting addicted when they're like 11 or younger, and they don't know anything. And so I've had girlfriends too who they'll be hooking up with a guy and they can't read the room. They'll like start choking them or spit on them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And because they think that that's what it's supposed to be like. Yeah, so, but this is a problem, again, with fathers, women, if you could, try to sleep with a man and get pregnant by a man who's going to stick around, exercise discernment, ladies, or keep your legs closed. Your dad is supposed to be able to take you to the side as a young man and be like, all right, look, this is how you put it on her. Like, if I had a son, I'm completely confident that my husband, when the time was right, could have, they could go camping. He could be like, all right, listen, this is how you do it with the ladies. Sterling, if you had a son, you could be like, this is how you put it on her. But we have like women that marry men that they're not attracted to, and they're probably not having any kind of polarity in the marriage as well. So obviously, beta daddy isn't getting insatiable mommy off at all. We don't have that. That's supposed to be a normal conversation that a grown man has with his growing teen boy, and it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
I have a would you rather for you, Aly.
Oh my God, stop though. Yeah, let's do it.
Would you rather your husband cheat on you, or would you rather him watch porn?
This is like, I don't even think of this stuff in my life.
I know you don't. That's why I thought
would
of it
I
for
rather?
you.
Life.
I guess I would rather him look at the porn. But I have some girlfriends. These women are crazy.
Yeah.
They literally think that if your man is watching porn, it's the same thing as if he was cheating with a woman in real life. And I just think that that's not true. Like, just say you're with a man who's addicted and leave it at that. Like, stop trying to equate the two, because I don't think it's the same thing. You should be way angrier if he actually put it in another woman.
I would
Are
let
they-
my
Of
man watch
course.
porn
Yeah.
all day and cam. All day.
They're probably
In the room.
They're probably angry at the fact
What you
that,
doing? Open the door.
that they're probably angry at the fact that he's watching so much porn that he isn't even trying to hit it
to
on
see
with her
you.
anymore.
Yeah,
Like, the sex
exactly.
is gone from the
Okay.
marriage entirely
Yeah.
because his sex drive is, for her specifically, is like nil.
Yeah. And
It's
by the way,
when
have you
it
ever been in a
gets
situation where, like, it's the middle of the night
Yeah.
and your girl slaps you or gets, she's like, yeah, in my dream you were cheating on me. And I was like,
Lord.
I'm fucking home. I'm here. What are you talking about? That happens sometimes.
Yes.
Okay, that doesn't happen to me in
that's
in the dream
crazy.
scenario
It's
because
crazy, right?
because they know I'm cheating on them in real life. So I don't have that problem.
She went to sleep and dreamed about you.
Respect. Well, to your point, you bring up such a good point about the ease of which porn is acquired these days. Sterling, we're right around the same age, give or take. You know and I know, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, how hard it was for a young adolescent boy to get him some porn.
Right.
You had to go steal some Playboy from your uncle.
That's what I did.
You had to
Steal
go
Playboy from my
borrow.
grandpa.
You had hiding spots. There were, you know what I'm
Right,
talking
right,
about.
right.
Treasure trove. You were doing barter,
literally stole Playboy from
trading,
my grandpa.
like you're doing the fur trade in the fucking Native
crazy.
American days, and you're the French Revolution.
You kids
and
don't
you're
even
trading
realize how
porn.
hard it was to
All
tap.
these days, you just gotta speak about instant gratification.
Right.
Now you can just go on your phone. You were jerking off to crumbled up pictures of Victoria's Secret catalogs. This is the lengths of which we used to do to. And this is in the 80s and 90s, brother. Imagine our parents, black and white photos of who knows. And now these days, they go on their phone. They're the most ridiculous porn, gangbang, ridiculous, choking out, spitting things you've ever seen. And they're 12 years old, and they think that's reality. Which leads me to my next point. You ever see, like, right now there's a big, I think it's a Hulu doc, Pam and Tommy,
Yeah,
Pamela
I've seen it.
Anderson.
Yeah, I love
So
that.
one of the amazing things that that she discussed
person.
with her son, this is pretty public information, is that the son was doing the spitting, the choking, this type of thing. He's like, this is what I've seen in porn. And she's like, listen, you're talking to Pamela Anderson here. You're my son,
Right.
okay? I'm pretty sure that the dad is Tommy Lee, right? Okay? Well-endowed rock star gentleman,
Masculinity.
heroin chic, doing his thing. And she's like, listen, that's not what ladies are into. And if you do find a lady that's into that, it's better to like, are you into this? Can I do this? Is this okay with you? Do you like how that feels?
Yeah.
You don't just start choking, slapping, spitting on
Yeah.
women that you just meet. Word to the wise out there, young men. Don't catch a charge. But it's just like times have changed so much. Whether it's the get-rich-quick mentality of crypto, whether it's the instant gratification or the microwave hustle society, the microwave culture, like everything can come so easily these days, right? You want something, you just order it on Amazon. You want some groceries, you're on Instacart, right? You want some porn, just go online. But someone told me the other day, they said, just because it feels good doesn't mean that it's actually good for you.
Yes.
And I feel like that's kind of the situation that
With
young men need to
masturbating?
find themselves in with porn, is like, just because it's accessible, you're home, it's COVID, it's easy, you're on lockdown, boom, you're on YouPorn, dowhatever.com, just because it feels good, it might not necessarily be good for you. So great point that you made with that. The ease of
Can I
porn.
touch on that?
Yeah,
really,
of course.
Really briefly, that idea of like young men especially sort of getting into these positions with their partner where they're stepping across a boundary, right? They're doing something that she's not into, like very extreme, like spitting, slapping, choking, whatever it is. One of the things that I teach guys primarily is to like this idea of reading her body language in the context. Like you said, read the room, right?
Yeah, read the room.
Read the room in the first place.
If she's shivering in a corner, you might not want to do that again, buddy.
If there's no
across,
booty pics on the
she's not-
Instagram.
Now, I will say that in my experience and in the experience of a lot of my friends, especially, younger women, women in their like, 20s to like late 30s, they tend to like a guy who's a lot more dominant, a lot more aggressive in the bedroom. They tend to be into these kind of things. However, they're not into it for every guy. Then that's a key distinction. It's a very important point. They're not into that.
true.
They don't want every guy to do that to them. They want a certain guy
Of course.
to do that to them. A guy who comes across with that dominant energy, with that confident dominant energy. Because there's a big difference between a guy who knows how to choke a girl properly,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Because there's a correct way to do it,
Right.
and there's a very, very, very
Excuse
incorrect
me.
way to do it.
Yeah.
But the guy
There's
who,
a nice romantic
Suppose.
choking,
Yeah.
and there's a psychopath
a
killer
hand
mentality.
yeah,
of
I'm
choking.
actually going to hurt you.
Got it.
Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
Very different.
Vibe, the way that go ahead.
But the guy,
Not that I would ever, ladies.
if you
Unless you like it.
actually, this is a great question to ask these ladies, right? In that sexual context, if you're with your partner, and let's say two scenarios, same exact guy, same exact situation. One guy is confident in reading your body language, and he's picked up good positive signs from you, and he goes to say do something like choking on you, right? Versus the other guy who is a bit unsure of himself and he can't quite tell if you want to do it, if you're into it or not, and then he just goes for it, right? I would be curious to know. I mean, I'm confident in the answer already, but which of those two makes you more uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable, the guy who doesn't know what he's doing.
The guy who doesn't know what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
The guy who's not sure of himself.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my point, right? There's
Yeah.
certain men who have experience in the bedroom or know what they're doing in the bedroom. They come across a certain way to women. They come across with that sexual energy. And a woman will pick up on that, and
It's
she'll
really on,
ping off a
yeah.
guy and be like, I want this guy to do these things to me.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
he
Sterling,
knows what
this
he's
is
doing.
why the first question I asked you at the top of the show was having confidence and what it
Right, we
leads you
back.
in life.
But it's also
And
tying
I
into,
said in the boardroom and in the bedroom.
but also tying into what you said, competence leads to confidence.
Experience.
Right? So a guy can't be confident in that situation if he actually doesn't have a clue
I
what he's
think
doing.
what you're recommending is young men, go choke out a cougar every once in a while, get your experience, and then from there, take it down to the ladies that are your age or
Look,
younger than you.
I have
Your words, not mine. Go choke out a
I
cougar.
love that.
Quote unquote, Saz, go choke out a cougar. All right, last topic of the day. that I want to address. Then we'll get to super chats and we'll move on. This has been an awesome show. By the way, if this is your first time here on the Soscast on Valuetainment Money, subscribe, give us a like. This is what we do. Also, we're starting a new channel. So not only just Valuetainment Money, there's going to be a separate Soscast channel, Soscast Clips, that a little more of the racy, edgier, choke out a cougar type of advice.
So we can clip you and take you out of context.
Exactly.
Great.
Adam told me to choke out a cougar, and that's why I'm in jail right now.
We're gonna learn today.
So if you have not subscribed to Valuetainment Money, please do. We appreciate that. And we're starting the new channel, Soscast, which is getting started. Natalia will have those details below.
Yes.
What I want to talk about is this concept of the body count and how it is different between men and women, right? So it is an attractive quality for men to have experience in the bedroom. We just discussed that. Having experience, having competence leads to confidence. What type of man do you want to be with? And, you know, women, if you ask women, and I'll ask you guys right now, would you rather at this point in your life be with a man who has been with 100 women, or if a man who has been with 0 women, a virgin? My guess is you're going to take the man who's been with 100.
0.
You're not taking a virgin.
I'm taking
Stop
a virgin
it.
because he's a little
No,
bit
you're
less
not.
experienced, and I don't like all of that.
Bullshit.
Like,
No, I'm serious.
Bullshit.
Like,
I think they'll
Keiona.
commit. They'll like do it for
No.
the first time with you, and they're like, I'm in
yeah,
love.
because
And you're
I feel like
yes.
I'm the alpha. I'm the
That was
alpha.
right. So
So
they'll stay
75.
loyal to you if you do.
Yeah,
it.
I feel like the
Yeah.
0, there's no STDs. You ain't got nothing to worry
75
about.
is good.
Ladies, if some virgin 30-year-old dude ran up to you in a club,
And
you
I would teach
wouldn't
him how to do
even
good.
give him
No.
a chance.
No, definitely
Stop
not.
it.
But
No,
I wouldn't even
no.
But if
ask.
he
You
told
would
me he
ask
was
a
like
man,
a
"Are you a
virgin or
virgin?"
something, I'm like,
No.
Sterling
really?
rolls up
And
with you
you're
in a
30?
club.
Yeah.
He's got 1,000
Oh my
people
God.
under the belt.
I probably would
The
look
game is on point. The looks, running for president. Let's get a close-up. Bro, you're taking that guy, not the virgin. I'm sorry. You're not taking Steve Carell, the
Why do you
40-year-old
say
virgin.
that?
They might
Why
look
do
the
you
I'm
same
letting
way,
you know.
though. They might look
In
the
my
same way, and
experience.
then
No,
you'd be
I
like,
disagree with you.
"Whoa."
I'm sorry.
I'm not with you on that one.
Okay.
I would
I
just
am.
say that like 100,
I am.
that's a little bit too much. Like you should learn what you need to learn by 75.
Not to say a virgin.
But I would no body count 0. I'd rather
40-year-old
not.
Not a
man.
body count 0,
'Cause
but
if
in the
you're a
sense
woman and
of
you've
just
been with-
somebody who can. Nah, I
We're
don't
gonna
want
agree
nobody
to
who's over
disagree
me.
on this one.
Yeah.
What's
don't-
your take on?
sorry, baby.
Okay, how about this? I'll give an open-ended question. Sorry, my opinion is that a man with more experience and more notches
In
on his belt is a
life?
much better thing in life
Not fucking
than
me.
some dude who's a virgin. I firmly agree and firmly think that dude who's 34 and is a virgin, you're not giving the time of day unless he's like some ridiculous fundamentalist Christian and he's a good-looking guy and he's been holding out because mommy and daddy told him that he's going to hell if he has sex. Those are few and far between. Usually that dude that hasn't had sex and he's 30-something years old, it's because he's got a lot of other problems in his life. My opinion, debate it if you want. In your opinion, body count, man versus woman, what's your take on this concept?
I think people get hung up on like the number, right? Especially when they talk about women.
Yeah.
You'll
By
see
the
that-
way, men never admit your number. Women, I know you won't admit your number.
Yeah.
So just words of the wise.
Exactly.
You're not cool bragging about how many you've been with. That's
yeah, you're never.
As you were saying, sir.
even if I ask a girl that I'm dating, like, how many guys have you been with? She's never going to give me the correct answer because there's
You're
always
my
going to be
first.
there's always going to be a
okay.
guy that doesn't count.
Yeah.
There's always going to be maybe there'll be a handful of drunk nights she actually doesn't actually remember. Like there's always going to be that exception, right? So I'm never going to get the honest to God's answer out of her. It's the truth.
Allie just went somewhere. I don't know.
Right. So, okay, it's less about like the actual number per se, and it's more about the kinds of dudes she was with who've kind of left an imprint on her. Because the reason why guys get hung up about body count in general is because, okay, if I get into a relationship with this girl, typically, if she's had a lot more partners than a girl who's had less partners, the girl with more partners is probably going to be like not as pleasant to be in a relationship with. She might be a bit more entitled, maybe a bit more like bratty, maybe a bit more combative, just in general, than a girl who's had less partners, right? However, that is probably the case more often than not because she's been with a dude who was just better than you.
Yes.
She was with some dude who was like, you know, a celebrity of some kind, maybe a professional athlete, maybe who was like she just can't get that imprint of him out of her brain.
I believe this terminology is called alpha widowed, right?
Bingo.
Yeah, so explain that a little bit if you would.
Well, an alpha widow is exactly the situation I just described. So she was with some dude in her life who was the best guy she has ever been with. He ticked all the boxes, and then he let her go, and now she can't get over him. So she's always comparing. Even if it's subconsciously, she's always comparing every other guy she gets with to that dude.
The problem with that for women, and then we'll move up, we got 5 minutes. The problem with that for women is that dude, that Leonardo DiCaprio, that famous NBA player, that dude will bang out a 7 because he met her in the club and she had big titties that night. And now that chick, sorry for the graphic example, now that chick thinks that she deserves the Leonardo DiCaprio of the world or the Derek Jeter of the world because she got him one night. Again, just because, you got him, can you retain that man? So the obtain, retain thing kind of works both ways. I see plenty of girls in South Beach that's like, oh, I've been with that celebrity. I've been with that musician. I know that rapper. It's like, yeah, but you're still single out here in the club, baby.
Is that your man?
It's because he hit it and quit it and kept it moving.
Is that your man?
And just because the guy, there's a difference between short-term and long-term. There's a difference between, hey, you're worthy of sex, you're not worthy of a relationship. And that's how it works for some women out there. Let me get your last thoughts on this. We're talking body count. We're talking about the risks of promiscuity of women. I know that, modern women and body count and feminism, they teach them, do whatever you want in your body, live free, do your thing. A lot of that, we were just having this conversation with Dennis Prager, very smart intellectual. A lot of that, he said, was prompted by birth control, which was in the 1950s, which essentially liberated women's sexuality. Here's some stats for you. 90% of women between ages of 18 and 64 have used contraceptives at some point. And nearly half of all U.S. pregnancies are unintended. Talk about getting hit and quit and these things like this happening. So in your opinion, how has birth control made women more loose, and how has modern feminism encouraged women to explore their sexuality and be more promiscuous?
Oh, wow. You said we only have 5 minutes left. No, birth control, just in general, it's not very good for women. And you could, turn 15 and you can start menstruating and your parents will put you on it just because they don't want you to get pregnant on what they would say is an accident. It's not really an accident. Women are just conditioned to believe a lie that sex without consequence exists. Even if you don't conceive a life, there's still some sort of psychological or intimate consequence that comes with that. It doesn't matter. And I've had girlfriends who, they were taking their birth control. They gained a lot of weight because that's what makes birth control ineffective is the rapid weight gain. Don't listen to these women. Like, they're like, I don't know why it just stopped working. Like, honey, you gained 60 pounds. Like, it's not the same dose. I had a girlfriend that got pregnant on accident or whatever, and it worked out for her, yeah, but that is because we just have this belief that sex without consequence exists. And if you're on birth control as a woman, you will choose a man whose major histamine complex matches yours more. So
what was that?
Your major histamine complex.
To do with
your immune system.
We
can smell your immune system. Women can smell
Is this pheromones?
Pheromones
is separate from that?
It's pheromones and it's genetics. Because if I want to smell a man who varies more genetically than me, because that's going to create an attraction. Yeah, I completely think that I'm married right now because I met my man and I wasn't on birth control and his scent just drove me wild.
Women got all sort of stuff going on in there.
Women will pick completely different men if they're on birth control or if they're off birth control.
Wow.
Totally
Right.
different men. This has been empirically studied.
You've never been on birth control.
Ever in my life. So I don't know what she's talking about. That's crazy.
So it'll change who you end up choosing. So some women start relationships on birth control. They get off. They're not attracted to the guy. Yeah, it can get so much more complex than that. But I would say that I met my husband. I knew him for a long time. I started dating him. I was not on birth control. I think I'm married today literally just because of the way that I enjoy that he smells. I think it's something that's predetermined. There's nothing that I could do about it. I've never smelled a better man in my life. I think we're genetically compatible. And I guess back to the alpha widow thing, the problem with promiscuity, and we think we have this excuse with birth control. If you run into the best sex of your life and you can't lock it down, you don't know if you're going to get that again. I got it. I'm good. I'm good forever. Okay?
Okay.
And that's honestly what makes a marriage work. Sex is the glue that keeps it together. But if you're out here thought, and you can't secure it, you will be thinking about that guy when you marry the guy that you have to. Nobody's holding a gun to your head, but you want babies, right? You need money for babies. You're going to be thinking about that other guy. And if that's a heavy toll for a woman to carry. And our grandmothers were able to stay shut about it. The problem with modern women is they'll open their mouth, okay? They will let you know, like, oh, you know what, you're actually not the best I ever had. It's like, honey, your grandmother would never, like, do better. So
Talk to your grandma.
Yeah.
And you wonder people wonder why the divorce rate is so high. Like, you get together on birth control. She goes off birth control to have a kid with the guy. She has the kid with the guy, and she's like, I don't like this guy. Because her entire perception of what's an attractive man totally changes, whether she's on birth control or off birth control.
Well, I will say this, final thought, and then we'll wrap up. Men pick and choose the women that you have kids with and marry with the utmost amount of thought. And the good type of thought, not the THOT thought that these out there. The utmost amount of thought and consideration. But what I'll give you credit for is I would love my future wife, mother of my children, to talk about me the way that you talk about your man. That is a very attractive quality when your woman is like, I am so lucky. I found my man. He's the best. He's the hottest. He's the coolest. He lays it down. Awesome. So men, be very careful with who you're wifing up and having kids with. And when you get to that point, make sure she speaks of you very highly like that. We've all been in relationships where the women kind of talk shit. You've seen them kind of talking shit in public. Not a good look. Pick and choose your women wisely. Last question for the panel, real quick, and then we're going to get to super chats, and we're done. This is a yes or no question. This is not a very nuanced discussion. So we're talking about men approaching women, fear of rejection, getting your heart broken. I don't know. And as I'm writing this episode, a song came on, and it was the song that goes, lose yourself, you are the move you make, oh, we think another future. If you know this movie. And the song is called Owner of a Lonely Heart. Yeah. Do you know this song? It's called Owner of a Lonely Heart. Owner of a Lonely Heart.
I probably do know the song.
Maybe I'm butchering it. The lyrics are, owner of a lonely heart, owner of a broken heart, owner of a lonely heart is much better than the owner of a broken heart. So would you ever, what's the question is like, would you rather had love and it not last than never have love at all, right? The question. So question for the panel, would you rather be the owner of a lonely heart or the owner of a broken heart? My answer is I would rather have a broken heart, mend it, fix it, get it back together, improve. That's where you'll find the grit, the dirt, the crumbs of the bread within you to build you back up and make you a better man. I've been through heartache. We've all been through heartache. For me, I would much rather be the owner of a broken heart and put that thing back together. Now I got this ice box where my heart used to be, and I go from there. Then an owner of a lonely heart. For you, Stirling, would you rather be the owner of a lonely heart or a broken heart?
A broken heart. Nobody wants to be lonely.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be lonely. Okay, ladies, broken heart or lonely heart?
Broken.
Broken?
Yeah, of course, broken.
Okay.
Right?
Some people don't want to deal with heartache, though.
Well, that's why
In the chat, by the way, let me know if you'd rather be the owner of a lonely heart or of a broken heart. I'd like to let you know comments at that. Natalia,
Yes.
owner of a lonely heart or of a broken heart?
Definitely a broken heart. I think, like you said, I feel like with a broken heart, you're able to learn from it and even give yourself like a standard of what you're looking for and then do better.
By the way, this question is not as easy as it seems, because if you've ever dealt with a broken heart,
I have.
there's a lot of times you're like, I don't fucking ever want. I already know what that's like.
Yeah.
We've been
I'm
there.
a loner, but I'm not lonely.
Okay.
So it's kind of like
Losing
kinda
us
hard,
up.
you know
You
what I'm
want? All right. If you've ever
Stick
seen the
to
movie The
Soscast.
Breakup with Vince Vaughn, Jesus Christ. I mean, you guys got to get out more. Anyway, this has been awesome. Nat, let's get to our super chats and then we'll wrap up.
Last finish, super chats. Thank you all for the super chats. We appreciate them all. We'll start with Reclaim Your Throne. As it pertains to Tate, Stirling works in the industry and he understands how common it is for women to retroactively withdraw consent after scenes. what they're doing is to Tate is unjust.
100% true. Yep.
And then we have another one from Reclaim Your Throne. Loverboy method is the game, not grooming. Women sell courses on being findom, a.k.a. financial dominatrix. It's all a symphony of finances from old, desperate men that like chocolate sister. Hey, boo. Beaten Cheeks. He said, Sterling, I refuse to give you IG, Facebook hookup apps. What's your advice to guys like me, not broken or fat, thankfully? What do you suggest to produce yourself? And then we have Reclaim Your Throne. The book should have been titled Women Are from Mars and Men Are from Earth, because men are knocked down a peg and grounded by reality since young boys. Adversity builds men and destroys women, especially dating. And then we had Keyshawn Plies. He did donate, and I saw you put your chat, but I didn't catch it after you donated. And then we had Orthodox Boxing. Sterling, how does one go about getting cougars as a young man? What is the best place to hunt these cougars? And then we have the last few from Reclaim Your Throne. Intercourse, access, and variety is essential to a man's mental health. That's why we have leaking dreams. If men don't have access, they will fap. It's simply supply and demand. The most men are going without. Kurt Rose, the last one. Moderation is key with everything. I'd rather a man jerk it instead of paying for OnlyFans, escorts, streetwalkers, etc. Thank you all for the super chats. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you guys like the video, comment, subscribe. And I want to shout all of you, including the haters, out for forcing me to do better with my reading skills. I'm doing this for you guys, so thank you.
Let the haters be your motivators.
Let the haters be
the last person who brought up the concept of supply and demand, like I said, I always try to combine finance and romance, and supply and demand is, if you're going to learn anything, if you take any economics class, they're always going to tell you that the most founding principle of any type of economics and economic system is the concept of supply and demand, and it works the exact same way in relationships and in the sexual market and the dating market. As a man, to all my fellas out there, the more you can improve your wealth, your money, your game, your looks, your status, your fitness, all that kind of good stuff, in the bedroom, in the boardroom, all that stuff like that, you will become a man of high demand, okay? A man of high demand, and there's always a large supply of hot chicks looking for a man who's in high demand. Aly got one. Our friend over here, she's going to lock one down if he makes at least $5 million. That's just how it works out here. That's supply and demand. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning into the episode. Real quick, Aly, when are you due? Where can we find you? And when's the next time we can see you again before you give birth? Because it might be some time before or after that. So real quick, give us the lowdown.
Well, I'd have to come back next month because I'm due in mid-May, and there's things you have to do around the house. But for you, I will make a trip back down here. Got to steal my man from the feds, you know. And then what else was there?
Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of it. I got real estate property on social media as soon as I could, so you can find me by that name literally everywhere. There's even a .com, guys. So my major platform is my YouTube channel. Make sure you guys subscribe and check that out. If you want to get picked and not skipped, and that is, look guys, it's a cute ring, okay? We all want to get picked, okay? Don't waste your time. Use your SMV to your advantage. Get picked. Subscribe to the channel. Okay,
and say the name.
What name?
Of their channel.
Oh, Real Femme Sapien.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you
My
left
bad.
out.
I was waiting for that too.
I'm like, I got all the real estate. I know every channel. And
My bad.
Which one is
brain. It's pregnancy brain.
Real
My bad.
Femme Sapien. Keiona, thank you so much for being on the show. You
Hi,
are
guys.
quite the delight, and I would love to have you back again. Where can
Really?
people find you?
Hi, I'm Keiona Veney once again. Thank you guys for having me. You guys can find me on Instagram, Keiona, Keiona .Veney, Keiona Veney.
Nice kisses right there.
Hello.
The man, Stirling Cooper. Let's get a close-up on him. This is his final
Running for president.
inauguration speech.
Hello.
Go ahead. Appeal to the audience. Let them get your vote right now.
StirlingCooper.com. Sterling is spelled STIRLING. That's where you can find access to absolutely everything. If you want to get a bunch of free advice on how to improve in the bedroom, simplest place is also to go to my YouTube channel. Same thing, Stirling Cooper. You'll find, just search that name into YouTube and you'll find me immediately if you want some free stuff there.
Awesome. Stop the fap, right? Natalia, biggest takeaway of today's episode. Take us home.
Biggest takeaway from today's episode, I would say there was a lot of good takeaways. I would say being. I think Aly had some really great points today. I think like not wasting your time when you are dating and with this information out there. I think we provide a platform where you get a lot of content and you can make a decision. And Aly's a great example where she comes from a different, she came from like, I don't need a man and, I'm looking and, she's young and she's able to find somebody and you can see that she is on a route of like happiness and success. So I think being clear on what you really want and even getting a different perspective, with everyone else here of reality. Just be clear on what you want and, go from there. Pick wisely.
Thank you, Natalia. All right, here's my final thoughts. For me, everyone did great. Everyone had amazing information. But Stirling's point about you either have a product problem or a marketing problem resonated so deeply with me because I feel like a lot of guys in Miami have a product problem, but their marketing is on point.
Right.
And the Lambos, you've dealt with these men, is what I was about to say. So as a man, get your product right, okay? Get your money right, get your success right, get your game right, get your fitness right, get 3 things right, okay? Your money, your looks, your game. You'll be the upper echelon supply and demand of man that you need to get to. And then you work on your marketing problem. But if you're working on the marketing problem, you have a shit product, it ain't gonna work out for you in the end. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching another amazing episode of the Soscast. Oh, we got some smoke coming your way. If you have not subscribed to Valuetainment Money, please subscribe, like the video. We're gonna do this again tomorrow with Natalia and your boy Saz here. Until then, we'll see you next time. Save that moolah. We out.
Woo!
Dude, I love
Yay.
that marketing.